and I can see my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize. I was running late this morning. I couldn't find my charger, and I just barrel in like, let's fucking go. But Tony, how are you?
I'm good. Fantastic. I just hope that we can have a prayer before.
Shut the fuck up.
I just want to
Shut the fuck up. No.
I just pray that God gives Nerdette the power to understand how wrong she is about this shitty book.
No. How? Okay. I've read a lot of fucking comic books in my day. It wasn't the worst thing ever.
It was. I've read tons of comics in my day. It is the worst thing I have ever read.
Why?
Why? Why? Because it had the cardinal sin of just being meh. Right? If something's so bad, fair. You can find enjoyment and entertainment from it because, like, it's so bad, it's good type thing. It's not even that. It's just, it exists. It's a thing that exists. That's why it's so bad.
Okay, yes, boring is worse than bad because at least bad you can rip apart and make fun of. I understand that, especially from a reviewer standpoint. And I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. Just because there were some cool characters and some cool concepts that I could see eventually with a honing of skills. Now Eric is like super chill, like super babyish, not chill. Well, on any criticism, so I don't know that it would actually happen. But I do think, like, okay, so you remember the character, the girl character, Yara?
Yeah.
I thought that was a really, like, I liked her. Now, mind you, I am openly a sexist, and I generally gravitate towards the female character, but I thought her design was cool. And I thought the fact that, like, I actually find it very funny that she was, like, the toughest chick and nobody called her Mary Sue, though.
You found her design of wearing a white t-shirt and yoga pants. That was very exciting. That was dynamic design. She's wearing basic white girl outfit, and it's like, oh my god,
I am a fucking basic white girl. You realize I'm saying, that, right?
She's not even wearing a costume. She has a costume that they show off at the very end when they go, hey, she's coming back, and she's wearing a costume. What they show in the actual book, though, she's not wearing a costume. She's just wearing street clothes. How is that dynamic? How are you like, oh, man, I'm really interested in this person wearing street clothes?
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to see something besides, like, farmers. Like, it was the most interesting part of the book for me because there was action. And then...
there was action. I love that you said that because I would like to share something with you. If you don't mind potentially... pissing Eric off.
Oh yeah, no, not a problem.
All right, so I would love to share this. This is the first introduction of Yara, and it is the only fight in the entire comic book that has no sound effects.
Yeah,
for some reason, I guess the sound effects department just, they had the day off that day because we have guns being fired, no blams. We have people getting punched, no whacks, no thrax, no nothing. There's not a single sound effect. When Yara shows up, she hits a guy with her, I don't know, blue power beam, whatever the fuck it is. Guy gets knocked out, no sound effect. Big fight scene, no sound effect. It's like sound effects earlier, sound effects after. What happened to the sound effects in this fight? How did this get past the editor?
Really, I honestly did not notice that. Now, mind you, I put it down 3 times. So it took, I put it down twice. It took 3 readings to get through. I did not notice that. Is that on Eric or is that I mean, it is essentially on Eric, but also, I believe it's Cliff Richards, right? That does the art. He should have known better.
I have no idea. They have two editors. The book lists two editors. So between the
Okay,
artist,
wait.
the editor, Eric July.
I'm trying to think. Okay, Cliff Richards also did 06 Protocol. I think that suffered from something very similar, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's ridiculous that I didn't notice that. I should have noticed that.
So I mean that's just the one, example of just something weird. Like in the middle of the book, we get the introduction of the Ira. No sound effects, just
none whatsoever. And honestly, that it was very weird to me because that green team, I don't know, were they
Alpha Core?
Yeah, were they supposed to be like super cops?
I think they're above cops, like because it's not really explained in the book, right? You have to there's supplementary material that's outside the book. So apparently, in this universe, which isn't said in the book, Texas has seceded from the United States.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hold
there
on.
was a war. There's a whole war that apparently happened
outside of the book, because this was not in the book.
It's not in the book. It's in it is mentioned in the cards. Remember, he had like it was like $100. You get like 9 trading cards.
Yeah. I'm not spending $100 on 9 trading cards.
Yeah. So when I say they're above cops, I mean they're not like a police is, they.
Hence why I said super cops.
No, they're not super cops either, because even super cops would be like, hey, they're going after criminals, right? Like the army doesn't go after criminals, right?
Right.
So they're like somewhere between cops and army.
I mean, the army does go after criminals, just like.
But you know what I mean. They're not
I know
like
what
out
you
there
mean,
investigating like street walking
like a B&E. They're not go.
Yeah.
We don't have the army on our local B&E. No. But okay, so Texas has seceded, and there was a war, and none of that was in the book.
None of it's in the book.
Shut up. That is an interesting. What is he gonna do? Like a prelude to this book?
Or I have no idea. I think what he's doing is he's creating Texas in this universe to be the libertarian paradise that he imagines. Fuck them hoe ass roads, right?
Oh my God, the roads.
Yeah. And that's why
that should have been in the book. At least, okay, do you know, like, when you pick up any typical Marvel book, there's a landing page that explains exactly what has, it's 7 to 10 sentences explaining what happened in issue 1 or what happened that you need to know, supplementary material.
Oh yeah.
There was nothing like that.
Because I don't even know if it was planned. Excuse me. Ooh, fuck, I got gas today. I have a feeling that
Bianca.
Yeah, I have a feeling he wrote the comic, right? And then afterward, he's like, "Shit, some of this don't make sense." All right, so I'm gonna put out trading cards, and I'll just throw in these little tidbits in the trading cards. No one will notice. It'll be fine.
That's so weird. I had no idea. This is actually funny. It's not overly political. Also, Texas has seceded from the Union.
Actually, there is some SJW stuff. I don't know.
I noticed it too, but I don't care because I'm not like psycho like some of the people that are like, oh my God, I can't have politics in my comics. Like, obviously, there's going to be politics in comics. There's politics in storytelling. I don't care. But also, I did like the Mary Sue thing I mentioned. The like kind of fascist super cop stuff. The human trafficking. I want to mention that. Human trafficking of sorts.
There was no that I have a huge. There was no, as far as I'm aware, I read the comic and I read it 2 times.
Oh my God!
When I reviewed it, and then I read it again last night before this debate. There was not a single indication of any human trafficking in the entire book. None. Where you're getting this from, I have no idea. It's something you're reading into it that just.
Okay. when I read any comic book, my mind, things that are illogical, my mind will start to fill in the blanks, right? So the way I kind of, if there's not, like with supplementary material, I'm always like, if it's something I'm very interesting, I'll always read it so I know what the author intended. I didn't know what the author intended for this, right? So when we get introduced to the one of the villains, you want me to show the screen?
Because I want people to know that I'm not just making things up, right? So this is the Brian Solari card, and it's hard to read because of the image, but I'll try to.
The Alpha Core guy?
Yeah. I'll read it for you. It says, Brian Solari is the clear and obvious leader of the Alpha Corps, a veteran of the Great War of Separation. His journey started with the Texas military. The result of a rather successful experiment, he completely changed the tide of the war with the tactical use of his abilities. After the war, he settled in Flores Park, where he became the primary response agency for all threats that were accepts. So see, he's not the police. They're not super police.
Okay.
They're like a private.
The story would have told you different, but okay.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Okay, there's a lot more issues with this book. So why is he, and that's a weird sentence to me right in the beginning, the clear and obvious leader. That was not made clear.
or obvious, or why he would be. Because we don't even know what their powers are in the book. Like, if you just read the book, you have no idea what anybody's abilities are.
Well, you do.
Okay, so we'll get to that, because you said human trafficking. Let's go back to the human trafficking. Why do you think she's being human trafficked?
Because she was clearly there against her will.
Clearly she was there against her will. How explain? You pretend like I'm stupid, like I'm just a complete pants on his head moron. Explain it to me. All
right. This girl was missing, right, for a good amount of time, enough to make, what was it, Isom's sister upset and worried. He started to go after her. There was no, I understand what you're going to say. You're going to say she did not say she needed help. That, in my opinion, does not matter. Because what we can see from the club, the kind of aura that this club portrays, the idea that they're very much so protective of whatever secrets that they're hiding. There was something going on with that girl, why she was afraid to answer. And my best guess is she was being kept there against her will.
Okay. So how long was she missing?
I believe it was a week.
Okay. She wasn't actually missing a week. That's not what they say. They say in the comic that Altona hasn't heard from her in a week. She knows where she's at. Missing people, you don't know where missing people are. She knows where she's at. She just hasn't heard from her in a week. Also, later on in the comic, they clearly show that she gets a phone call and then leaves Altona's office building and then goes off to where Darren is. Prior in the comic, we have our hero, Isom, runs into her on the street. She's out by herself. There's no one following her. There's no security being closely watching her, walking her from the club to like the house where they keep all the women being trafficked. None of that. She's clearly on her own, walking down the street. Okay. Then
hold on. Trafficking is wasn't like in the movies, right?
Hold on. Then later on, after Isom sees her and he beats up the two security guards by the club, he doesn't chase after her, right? Because she's obviously not in any immediate danger because she's just walking down the street. He turns, goes inside the club, and one of the girls inside the club goes, "Hey, Jasmine picked a good time to leave." Why she's just allowed to leave? So people who are human trafficked, they go and hey, we need you to be in the club because there's guys and we need you to do the human trafficking. But whenever you feel like leaving, just let us know. We'll let you
like think about the Andrew Tate situation. They didn't have to be on cam all the time. Wait, you're probably an Andrew Tate fan, right?
Why would I be an Andrew Tate fan?
I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you. I know that you weren't, but the understanding is it's the power over somebody, right? So this, I don't even remember his name, El Guapo or something. I don't fucking know. he was
El Guapo, the guy from the Three Amigos?
I don't know. No, the bad guy in this. I didn't, like I said, I only got through it one time. I didn't reread it for this because I know I couldn't do it. Now, he was clearly hoarding some sort of power over her, or she would have felt like she could have answered Avery in that situation.
Or perhaps, and maybe I'm reading things wrong, but Eltona, the sister of Avery, works at a big company. They very clear to point out that it's a big company.
Right.
Darren Fontaine, the bad guy, not El Guapo, but Darren, he says, hey, women like Jasmine are very important to me. I need them to, now we know that Jasmine had an internship at this very big company that Eltona works for. Why would Darren Fontaine kidnap, hold, and traffic someone who's highly intelligent, works at a big company, and has a high profile on them?
Wait, I never said they kidnapped. There are other ways of human trafficking besides what you see in the movies.
Human traffic versus maybe Darren said, hey, go work at Eltona's company, go spy, go get some inside information. And that's why she feels ashamed and she doesn't want to talk to Isom, because she knows that, hey, I've been spying on your sister and I've been getting inside information that he needs because, he's the big criminal guy.
That could very well be, but that never crossed my mind because they set up this person as a villain type, right? He was clearly supposed to be some sort of antagonist.
It sounds, and I don't want to play the R card, but it sounds like you're racial biased, going, he's a bad guy and he's black. Obviously, he's a human trafficker. Where I go, hey, he's a businessman.
What the fuck?
Obviously, he's doing bad business things. That's
how very SJW of you.
I'm just saying, maybe it's because you're a woman and you're reading human trafficking into it, and I'm a dude.
It may be. And it may also be that I'm correct. I did ask Eric himself, because like I said yesterday, whenever I cover stuff like this, I do try to reach out to the people, to be fair. And he said it won't be revealed till issue number 2, whether or not he's a human trafficker or just
That's because Eric doesn't know what's going on in his time.
That could be. But to say that I assumed because of racism, come on now.
It was a joke.
I know it was a joke. Okay, let me get this real quick. If the world is going to be so different from ours, differences need to be up front unless it's meant to be a mystery. Exactly. I actually assumed after reading it, the world was absolutely the same as ours. Like I very much so had no idea that there was some war, some separation. None of that was, if I remember correctly, even alluded to, which is not the case here. Why do these CF books? What's a CF book?
Crowdfunded?
Crowdfunded, yep. Where one issue got over 1 million, people act like it beats all comics going forward. That's silly. That's silly.
To take a small transition, did you notice that Eric got a 66% decrease in his?
Yeah, I did notice it's quite a bit less this time.
Yeah. He's raised almost the same amount of money, which is weird, but the amount of actual people ordering has fell like 66%. It's like a really weird thing. I guess he's selling a lot more merch and not actual comics.
People are like, I want to support, but I'm not going to put myself through that again.
All right. So here's another image I'd like to show, because this is the first page. Okay. This is the very first page. This is like, okay, you're getting introduced to the comic.
Right.
So I would like you to notice this right here in the upper right corner. You can clearly see West Flores Park, 3rd Police Precinct. Right. It's a little blurry because of the picture.
Right.
But the same building has this nonsense. You can't read this. It's not the image. It's not the
art
picture. It's the art. It's literally just a bunch of globs.
Whoa.
On the building. First picture. This is what you're greeted with. Okay. Secondly, now I'm no art major, and I had to go to Sidekick Max. My son, he does art. He knows all this shit, angles and all that, right? So this car is definitely going to crash into these people because this street is going.
Oh yeah.
Upward to the left. This car seems to be going slightly forward. I don't know where it's driving. Also, it is very small compared to this guy who's almost on the same level as the car, like the same.
Yep.
His body is the same size as the entire car. So that means this guy is like a 7 or 8 foot giant, or this car is like built for like mini me.
Yeah. I do see a lot of that being Cliff Richards, but also at the same time, as when I read, so I didn't know it was Cliff Richards doing this. I read his 06 protocol, and I can tell you just from reading 2 different types of art or books from him and seeing his art in 2 different types of book, he didn't put the same amount of time that he put into 06 protocol. There wasn't a lot of backgrounds. There wasn't a lot, like, I can actually show you. There's a lot more detailed. This is the same artist, is what I'm showing you here.
Yeah.
And there's like, obviously not everything has a bunch of detail, but I don't know why he would not put the same amount of time. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the greatest story, but that doesn't matter on the art. I think
I have a theory.
It also comes to direction, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have a theory that Eric July, he seems like the kind of person to micromanage everything. So I would imagine a lot of the art direction and what's going on. It wasn't like, hey, here's the basic story, draw me the panels. It was more like, okay, I want you to draw this exact panel like this, and then draw this like this, and then draw this. That's what I believe happened. Eric,
I honestly agree, because if you notice, even with this current situation with he's saying, oh, all these people are crazy. They think I'm DMCA striking, blah, 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 blah. Even like the littlest criticism of Eric, he makes videos, he goes crazy. He's got that Ripple Gold post thing. It's just like, I think there's an issue of like control. So I can see him being very micromanage-esque.
Yeah.
He's a Dan DiDio.
I personally don't care who draws it or who the editor is. I don't know any names when it comes to comics. Like, I don't know who Cliff Richards is. I don't, outside of that, his name is on this book that I own. I don't know any of his other work. Mm-hmm. I might own his other work. I might have seen his other work, but I don't care. I literally never cared about the artists, the writers, the editors, nothing, right? Just the character. The characters are what I buy books for. I don't buy books.
That's fair.
On people who create it. Okay. So I went in there with no preconceptions about anybody writing or anything about the book. It is a very poorly paced story. First off, it starts 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
You don't do that. That's terrible structure, right? Because you what you need to do, what's missing is we need to show like
we get a lot of stories that have like cold starts like that.
No. You get a cold start, right? You get what you need to do. Like, look at Breaking Bad, right? Breaking Bad starts with Walter White in the desert in his tidy whities, right?
Right.
And then you get 3 weeks ago, so you can find out how you got to that point. We have no point that we're trying to get to.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You want to start with a little bit of action and then...
Not even action. Just if it's a picture of Isom holding a remote control, and then it goes 2 weeks ago to go, okay, so now I'm going to figure out how he got to the point where he's holding a remote control, right? Like, what am I going towards? If there's nothing to go towards, just start. You don't need 2 weeks ago because we're just telling a story now.
Aha. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't realize that. It even said 2 weeks ago. I read it as a kind of linear story.
And if it's a linear story, then you don't need 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. And that's why I didn't even realize it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, did it ever come up in say now?
No, because that's the next point I'm going to bring up. Okay. So I have the comic with me. So if you read the comic, you go through he goes through the little not Omni-Man police chief guy. And I swear to God, if you read the book, this guy, they must have watched Omni-Man, or they seen the guy who plays J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man.
Right.
And they basically drew him. Right. So then you get earlier. So you got 2 weeks ago is where you start the book, right? And then 2 pages in, you're earlier. Is that earlier from 2 weeks ago? Or was it earlier, from some point?
Now?
Yeah, from some arbitrary point we haven't even hit yet. What is it earlier of?
Yeah, that makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Even having like given this book a relatively decent score, that's really silly.
So you got that going for you, right?
Oh yeah, that does look like J. Jonah. Oh my God, I didn't even realize it.
Now you have the book with you, right?
Sure. I totally do.
You have images from the book. Okay?
I have images, yeah.
I would like you to answer this question. It's a very simple question. What does Isom's beard look like?
Oh my God. What does his beard look like?
What does his beard look like? It's a very important question.
What? Why is that an important question? It looks like a...
Why is it important? Because it changes during the whole book. Look at the actual art. In one panel, he has a beard that goes all the way around his chin and up a little. In another panel, he only has a soul patch. In another panel, he has a fucking all the way line across. In another panel, he's clean shaven. He's literally, his power is to change his facial hair from image to image.
Shut up!
Look at it. I read the book last night.
Oh my God, his excerpt power is to change his beard. Wait, no, literally from panel to panel on the same page.
Yeah.
And he gets fatter.
Worse. Yeah, he gets fatter. His nose changes. His facial features.
There was one panel where it was, oh God, when he's like yelling at that guy, the bad guy, he looks super fat.
Yeah. So you got that going for you. Then I didn't take a picture of it, but if you look on the what is it? When he's talking to Darren, right? So Darren lights up a cigar. They're sitting down. They're talking. He points at the camera. It's a big close-up shot of Darren. You can see his hands. No rings on Darren's hand, right? No rings. In the next panel, he has rings on his fingers.
Oh my God. How did they not notice that stuff?
And there's a prior panel where Darren tells him to sit down, right? He goes, sit down. He's pointing at 2 chairs. There's a table, 2 chairs. He goes, sit down. Okay. We go 2 panels next. They're sitting in a booth. Where did this booth come from that they're sitting on?
Hold on. Is this where you're talking about?
Yeah. The previous panel shows him pointing at some chairs. Sit down.
Oh no, there is no booth.
Where's the booth?
There looks like a seat back there, but...
Yeah, but you would need the other side of the booth.
Oh my God, here's a aerial view. There's absolutely no booth here.
Yeah. Now scroll up. No, not that way up. The other way up. No. Wait, no, you were going the right way. Go
I know, because I was showing the rings thing. See, look, he's got rings.
No, go down. Keep going. Right there. Rings. You can see clearly the hand with the cigar, no rings.
None.
Scroll down. Right there, rings. Also, what is up with his thumb? Is that a dick that's hanging from his hand?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not really on there.
It's just his thumb's just trying to leave his body. He's like, I am bored with this conversation. I'm just going.
Oh my God. I was not looking into it that deep because I was only doing it.
I'm not even looking into it deep. I'm literally just looking at it. And I'm noticing this because my brain works that way. I just notice things. You think that's bad? There's a picture here. I got the picture. I'll just
Okay.
share my screen. All right. All right. So you see this right here. This is the club logo, right?
Yep.
We got door, gentleman in front of doors, right? Isom walks up to the gentleman. Suddenly, half of the building is fucking missing.
Oh yeah.
Because here's the club logo, and here's them in front of the door. Where's the rest of the building? Where'd it go?
This should have been okay. Did he have an editor at all besides himself? I'm saying like an actual, like a editor by trade. Is there an editor credited? Is there anything?
There is in the okay. So if you go on the first, what is it? It says Alan Ford and Carol Brown, copy editor. That's it. You got Eric Weathers is the letterer, Marcos Rios is the concept artist, Gabe El Taib is the colorist, Cliff Richards artist, and Eric July writer. That's it. Those are the only people credited in the book.
Okay, there's clearly issues that I like, deeper issues if I were doing a deep dive into a book, which I've done before, but I did not for this one. There are clearly some deep editorial issues that this book suffers from. With the money that he made, there is no fucking reason why he could not get an editor. Now, do you have any idea, was this written before and already prepared beforehand?
That's what he claimed. The claim was that the books were already written and printed, and they were just waiting on the pre-orders. That the pre-orders were actually just to see if they needed to print out more, but they already had some, apparently, according to Eric when it first launched.
Okay, that's what I kind of wondered, because if, like, I could give the benefit of the doubt for some things because it's a first time writing, a first time crowdfunding something, a first time for everything in this process. I could give a little bit of a leeway there when it comes to indie books, right? But if it comes to number 2 and the issues are still the same, then he's clearly not learned anything or tried anything. Now, out of curiosity, because I did not read it and you did, how does this stack up compared to, like, what did you reviewed Ethan's book, correct?
Yeah, the second one was it Blood Honey?
Okay.
It is garbage compared to Ethan's book.
Okay. I figured.
There was one like wonky panel, and I talked to Ethan about it, about like the way Cyberfrog's leg is in like one of his panels. But other than that, the art is spectacular. I didn't read the first Cyberfrog. I had no idea what was going into Cyberfrog 2. I didn't read the first one. I have no knowledge of Cyberfrog other than it exists. And I was able to clearly follow the story from beginning to end, know what was going on.
Okay.
And the only part that I was like confused about, spoiler, if you haven't read Ethan's book, but right, they use red because red hides them from the killer bees. Right? Okay. Well, in the early panels, the characters were really red in the face, and I was like confused because I was like, why are these people red? Like why? And then like later on, like, oh, she's taking makeup off. Then it made sense, right? It was just a me thing because I didn't know the world. But other than that, his book was very coherent. The slow parts weren't boring. It was just the story slowed down and the natural flow of the story. The characters, the asides made sense, and they figured into the bigger story. Whereas, like, okay, so Isom has asides where there's characters that show up, right? But they don't seem to have any bearing. No, there's the 2 characters in the club with the magic powers.
Oh, yeah, that seemed like it was a setup for something else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We got those, and that didn't seem like it really had any bearing on this story, right? Because remember, this is the first issue, and things should be connected to the Isom story overall, right? You just don't throw people in, right? Could you imagine if you're reading the very first issue of Spider-Man, and then just some guy in a Captain America outfit walks across the screens like, hey, America's really shitty now, huh? And then just that's it. That's the end of it. You're like, well, who the fuck was that guy? Why did he show up in the very first issue of Spider-Man? I have no idea.
Right. No, I get it. I didn't mind that setup because that's something that I see in comics a lot when it comes to introducing like a new idea. What I did mind is it felt like towards the very end, it felt like a very clear like shift in pace, because once you got to that point, it was like a fight and then it's over, and then, hey, look, there's this band, hey, look, there's this, hey, look, there's that. Like, it felt like he was trying to maybe get a lot out at the end instead of like shifting the pacing.
Well,
and again, I chalk that up to being a new writer.
I'm going to actually push back on that, because the end stuff was actually well done, because if you're reading the book, and if you actually read the book, I don't know if it's in the form that you read it, but in the actual comic, there's a page that says, wait, you're not done. And then the stuff with the band shows up. So basically the comic actually does end. And then he's like, hey, there's more stuff. So and then
it
stuff
says,
after
we
that,
will win. Oh my God, I cringed so hard.
Now, forget the we will, but I'm saying, like, he clearly says, like, he denotes this is the end of that stuff, right? And this is like new stuff. It's almost like a preview of another comic in that comic.
No, I get it. And it was that Norfolka stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually I was like, okay, this could be kind of, the art actually looks better. Some of the way that the characters are like emoting looks a little bit better. And it does look like it looks like Green Lantern and Green Arrow to me. I'm not gonna lie, it does.
Well, there's actually a Green Lantern Easter egg in the comic.
Is there really?
Yeah. If you go all
like
the way
purposely?
back to, I'm assuming it's purposely, because if you go all the way back to when Isom's at the very beginning, he's like boxing. He takes off his gloves, and when he takes off his gloves, you can see a GL and then like a circle with like a dot.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like there's no glove maker with those logos. It's not like it's an armor or something, right? Under Armour. So I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, it's definitely, but I'm pretty sure that was like a little Green Lantern thing.
Yeah.
But again, you said Isom's powers were revealed. What are Isom's powers?
I mean, clearly he's invulnerable. Clearly,
is he? Because clearly he says he's not invulnerable.
Well, right. But people can say things, and we can see a different action speak louder than words.
Could you imagine a comic and then Wolverine's like, I'm not invulnerable, and then like his arm falls off and it reheals? He's like, well, maybe I am invulnerable. I just didn't realize it for the last 30 years of my life.
Well, no, of course not. But like, also, I don't remember where he said he was invulnerable. Was he speaking in conversation with somebody that wouldn't know about him?
No, he was thinking when he was falling to hit the car.
I'm trying to look right now. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Wait, maybe he's not invulnerable to that degree. Maybe he is very like what would it be like?
This is here's the only indication of what he can do. He says, this one is going to be tough. I've trained my body to do things people like me shouldn't be able to do. But unfortunately for me, flying ain't one of them. And that's it. That's the extent.
So he doesn't
can't fly.
He's not vulnerable.
Well, he's heading towards the car. And he's flipping over so he lands on his back. Then later on, we find out they did test to him in the hospital and that he's not an accept, at least according to the initial test. But the guy's like, well, the doctor's like, well, our tests don't test for everything. He might be an accept. We just don't realize it.
Okay, that's fine. But then why include that testing at all?
Because Eric doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He wrote a really shitty story, and no one told him, dude, this is a shitty story. You need to fix this. You need to tighten this up. There's literally, here's another issue with the book, right? Okay. Darren doesn't know that Isom and Avery are the same person. Okay. Because Isom was at least a superhero for a little while, right? We know that.
Right.
Okay? Darren, who is the big crime, he's the kingpin of Texas, right? I would assume he would know things. But Isom, who has no helmet, has no mask, has gone out and done super heroics. But Darren is not familiar with this because Darren, when Isom starts beating everyone up, he's like, well, how did you learn to do that, right? He's like, then Santuan comes out, right? And he's familiar with Isom, right? And you would think he would go, don't worry, Darren, even though Isom is a superhero or a former superhero, I would, I've beat him up before, right? Doesn't say any of that, right? We know that they know each other because he says they
Right.
know each other.
Right.
But he doesn't tell his boss, who's hiring him to kick the superhero out of his club, that, hey, the guy that you're telling me to kick out of the club is actually a superhero. You weren't familiar with him. I'm letting you know before I kick him out of the club, right? To try to fill everyone in on what's going on.
Right. I mean, I get it. I do. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you something when it comes to this. What was the farmer shit about?
Which part? The part where he goes
Like,
into the house.
All of it. The whole thing was inconsequential to the overarching story.
Yeah, but did you not read the part where he's like, city people, they don't really appreciate where food comes from. You salt of the earth farmers. What he's saying is, what that part of the comic was, hey, conservatives, liberals in the city are shitty, and they don't realize they need you more than you need them. Conservative, good. Shitty, liberal city people, bad.
Yeah.
Isom.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I got that. But was that the whole point of putting them in?
Yeah. Because remember, Eric is libertarian. Libertarian is about self-sufficiency, right? Our farmers are considered self-sufficient.
Okay, but also, isn't there some big thing with IP in libertarians, whereas he's now DMCAing a bunch of people?
I'm not really familiar with their thoughts on intellectual property, so I can't answer that. But as far as him DMCAing people, he's actually within his rights. I'm not agreeing with him. I'm not saying, hey, he should do that, right?
Right.
But legally, he is within his rights to do that.
Sure. But he can't, like, even, okay, so Robert sent me this one from Raquetta saying he cannot actually silence what they were saying by using the copyright thing. Now, I have an issue with trying to, even when it came like to any sort of situation. I've only been copyright struck once for doing a book. It was Kwanzaa Asefo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Albus, thank you so much. Holy crap, we got 5 new members. We got Zeke, we got Vincent Martin, we got Phil TMNT, Abe Ace Life, and a girl. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Puddin. I appreciate it. But okay. So, do you remember the Naughty Dog situation?
Yeah, I'm intimately familiar with the Naughty Dog situation. I covered it. I never got DMCA'd for it. I posted
I didn't
the memes.
Either.
So,
but do you remember?
It's a different situation, though.
How is it different?
And I'm going to explain it right now because I knew where you're going. I watched your review last night. Remember, you sent me the link.
I did.
So the Naughty Dog situation is different because people were sharing information and getting flagged, not sharing necessarily any intellectual property.
No, they were sharing.
No. Hold on. Let me finish. You just want to.
Right.
There were people who were just sharing the leaked information. The information, like, hey, by tweeting out, say, hey, this is going to happen. Joel's going to get killed by Abby and thing. And Naughty Dog was flagging them, right? Then there were also people who were sharing images that were getting flagged. Those people 100% should have got flagged because that is not their intellectual property. They had no right to share those images that were leaked. They were stolen, illegal images. And then there was people that were sharing memes that were also getting flagged. Again, those shouldn't have got flagged because they were not sharing any actual intellectual property from Naughty Dog, right? Having a meme of some guy that's kind of buff hitting another dude and be like, this is what's going to happen to Joel is not really flaggable.
I mean, Eric flagged a meme.
I have not seen everything that Eric flagged, right? I'm not familiar with every single instance, but the few that I saw where he's flagging like actual images from a PDF, RIPA, the Isom #1 is not available in PDF. You cannot buy in PDF anywhere. So sharing images from a PDF, you're sharing illegal images. Okay, sharing an image and then writing something else on it, right? If I go, hey, Isom's really crappy, and then I share like 6 images, that's not fair use. Okay, because I did not actually comment on the images, right? If I go, this is why Isom's no good, and I'm commenting on the image that I show, and the image is an example to add to what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's fair use.
That's what, at least the example I seen sent from me from Vicky was a compare and contrast of Isom to Spawn for character building.
I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen it, and so I can't comment on whether or not that particular instance, in my opinion, would be okay. Again, I don't think he should have flagged any of them because, in my opinion, Eric's business is not comics. He's not making a comic book. He's selling a brand.
Right.
And the people who are going to buy it doesn't, right? Here's where you're wrong. Eric is not selling a comic, like I said. He's selling a brand, and his brand is we hate SJWs, we will win. And the people that were going to buy his comic are going to buy his comic regardless of whether other people like it or not. You say, hey, this makes Eric look weak, except that's to you people, right? To people on your political side or your political beliefs or your views of Eric, right? People who like Eric are not going to see it as weak. They're going to be like, yeah, Eric, good job, right? It's the same way when Quartering does, he's like, I'm going to fucking sue the shit out of you. And like, we're all like, oh man, that's stupid. But his fans love it. And then when he makes fun of somebody for doing the exact same thing, we're like, dude, and they're like, his fans don't give a shit.
Right.
You're never going to change the minds of people's fans, right?
I mean, to a degree, I have seen some people call it out, but for the most part, when you're deeply connected to that parasocial relationship, there is no extraction. Like when you are so much into that echo chamber, and I'm talking not just Eric, that whole like anti-SJW, anti-woke shit, unless you are open to different ideas and actively seeking them out, you will not be able to convince anyone, because they will look at it in one of two ways. They will look at it as the person is correct, or any information that fucks with their worldview that will be like, oh, it's just kind of making it the same, right? So they will be like, well, these haters have done this. Even if what Eric is doing wrong, in my mind, they'll still look at it as a win. Yeah,
you can extract people from that mindset, but it does take a lot of effort, a lot of understanding, a lot of patience, and you can't extend a fist, right? You have to extend an open hand, and even when they slap you for extending the open hand, you have to extend it over and over and over. For 3 years, I've extended an open hand to lots of people, and it took 3 years to extract people from Tommy Tallarico's spell, the Amico stuff, right? But eventually people were like, wait a minute, everything you've been saying is correct, and this guy is a fucking lunatic nutbag, right? So you can extract people, but it does take effort. It's like getting people out of a cult, right? You got
right. It is. 1 second. I'm so sorry. I just don't want to forget to do this. Albus, thank you so much. You got more fucking members. We got Steph Nerd. We got Death of the Endless, Son of the Beach, First Known Infection. Wait, now it's just repeating. ETAP. Freaking ETAP. I always tell you guys you should check out his page. Nobody ever listens to me. He's only mildly crazy.
ETAP's a good guy. I like ETAP.
Yeah, I do too.
The other. So going back, because you were telling me that in your review you said his powers are clear. So we've established we don't know if he's invulnerable. What other powers does Isom have?
Well, he's clearly like a brawler, right?
That's a power? Knowing how to fight?
No. More on the lines of having extra durability and strength.
Okay. So he's a little stronger. I mean, he's training at the beginning, so that's,
Now, I mean, anybody can train, right? But nobody can fall into a fucking car from a second or third story window and survive. So there's clearly some sort of added ability to his muscles and his durability.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to make an assumption like that. But other than that, so we have no idea what his actual powers are. Whether it's
isn't that a power though?
Yeah, but when you say power, right? What's the difference between the Hulk and Colossus? Colossus is durable, but he has to turn his skin into steel in order to get his durability, whereas the Hulk has gamma irradiated blood that increases his strength, his durability, and everything else, right? See, there's levels and layers to it. like on the base level, yeah, he's more durable than a person. But now, could you define it a little? What are we talking, right?
Well, none of that was covered. Clearly.
That's what I'm saying. No, there's nothing covered. We don't know what his powers are. There was 2 instances where it looks like Yaira has super speed, but I'm not sure because.
I didn't even get that.
Yeah, because she's standing there, right? She's standing there in the middle of the street looking at Isom, and the next thing you know, there's an image of her going towards him. There's like lines, and then there's like 2 shadow images and a third one where she's holding him. I'm assuming that means she moved at super speed.
I'm assuming. Oh yeah. I'm looking at it right now. I'm assuming so. Because
then later on, in the second fight with Santuan, Isom does a thing where there's 2 shadow, and then he goes behind Santuan and kicks him, and Santuan's like, "How did you learn to do that?" Or "When did you learn to do it?" Something like that, right? So is his power to mimic what other people do?
Wait, no, I didn't get that at all.
You see the image I'm talking about, right?
No. Okay, explain which image it was again.
Okay, there's an image where he's fighting when he goes back to the club and he fights Santuan.
Okay,
the guy's gonna go punch him. Then it shows 2 shadow images of Avery, then a third where he's kicking Santuan in the back as if he avoided the guy's punch, somehow got behind him and kicked him. And then Santuan clearly says, "Where did you learn to do that?" As if this is something.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That he actually did something. It wasn't just like, "Oh, you avoided my hit," right? It's like,
since when could you do that?
Yep. Yeah, since when can you do that? Right? So it makes it seem like this is something special. This is not just I avoided it in like a fancy way to draw. Like they're trying to clearly make it seem like this is something new. Some new ability.
You're right. And then that's a big motherfucker.
Yeah. And so then I would ask, like, so if he's able to copy abilities, why couldn't he copy Yaira's flying?
I don't think he's able. I don't think he's able to copy abilities. I think what they're trying to say here is tying that back to the beginning where he is still training and able to do stuff.
Yeah, but he literally did no training between getting his ass kicked, escaping the hospital, and then fighting.
Right, but he was training previous to that.
Yeah, but he got his ass kicked by the same guy earlier. So why didn't he just do that earlier?
Oh, you're right. It is this. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's really no justification as to why he is able to go from. And then what was the only thing in between was the hospital scene, right? Really?
And getting into the fight with Yaira. That's why I assumed when she did the thing, and then later on he does the thing. That's the only correlation I can make. Well, maybe somehow he learned her power,
or maybe. I guess I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so there's that. In the fight with Santuan at the end, clearly he jumps at a wall, right? Ricochets off the wall. And then in the next panel, he's hitting Santuan back towards the wall. How?
Before the little girl stuff?
No, it's the last fight. The last fight when he goes back to the club. It might be before the little girl stuff.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, before he escapes and goes back to Altona's. They go out. He goes, "Hey, you need to get out of the club." He goes, "Well, let's take this to the street." And then they go outside to fight. And he's like, "Why are you running away?" And he runs at the wall, rebounds off the wall, hits Santuan. And then in the next panel, he's hitting him back towards the wall.
Shut up! I did not. Okay, we got to show this one. Oh my God, that is such a massive oversight.
And is there like a second, third wall that I don't know about? So see, clearly he runs at this wall. He hops on it. He does the little Spider-Man bounce. Boom, hits him.
But right? There's up here.
That's the wall.
Oh my
back
God!
there.
Why is it doing this?
I have no idea.
It does not want me to share this image very much. Here's the initial, what we were talking about just a minute ago, where where he did like the shadow kick and he's like, where did you learn to do that? That's that initial one. And then if you go down just a little further, you see the wall. He's there. Keep an eye on this wall. He hits
There's the big concrete wall.
Yep. He's Spider-Man.
Yeah. No,
What
because
the fuck?
he jumped at the wall so hard that his feet went into and broke the wall. That's what.
Okay. Yeah. And then he hold on. My mind's fucked up here. He's hitting the wall, but now did he go like in a complete circle?
I have no idea. Is there a second wall on the other side that we just not seeing?
We never seen. That was never even okay. Okay. That's actually fucking hilarious. That's ridiculous. No, there's clearly not another wall though. Look at the spacing here.
That's what I assume, but I'm trying.
Here's the wall. It's very like. Okay, all right. I guess there's magical walls. He can now create constructs also.
Because Isom is supposed to be the hero. He's the hero. He's looking for Jasmine. She walks off. He gets stopped by security. Said, "Hey, leave our girls alone." Beats up the security, and then immediately, instead of going down the street in the direction that Jasmine, the girl he's trying to find, he turns around and goes inside the club and beats people up.
Yeah, because he's trying to find Jasmine. Because
she's on the street.
Oh, when he walks past her.
Yeah, look at the sequence. He walks past. He goes, "Hey, Jasmine." She looks at him. He goes, "Are you in trouble?" And then the dudes stop him and say, "Hey, leave our girls alone." She walks away from the club. He beats up the two security guys and then immediately turns around and goes into the club instead of following the woman that he's trying to find. He knows where the club is. The club's not moving. Darren's not going anywhere. You can go find the woman and say, "Hey, bitch, I've been looking for you. Why you walk away from me? What's going on?" No, he goes, "I'm going to go beat up these guys because they disrespected me." Because that's more important than doing the thing. Remember, he's doing the thing for Mrs. Newman. Gotta love Miss Newman. Why does he love Mrs. Newman? Oh, because she went to church every week. He literally says that.
Wasn't there at one point where they said their mom was going to be mad or something?
No, she says, "I'm going to tell mom."
Yeah. And that was like I thought that was cute. That's like a sisterly thing to do.
Yeah, but that was later on when he goes like, "I'm going back to the club," and she's like, "I'm going to tell mom that you're causing trouble or whatever," right? That's fine. I have no issue with that. But that's not why he's looking for Jasmine. He's looking for Jasmine because of Mrs. Newman. And why does he like Mrs. Newman? He clearly says, because Mrs. Newman went to church every week.
Back with that let's make sure we kind of bend to our conservative fan base, maybe.
Yeah. Literally, I don't know if it's in the PDF, but literally, before we even get to the story, there's crosses all over the page that shows like the artist and everything. There's literally gold crosses all over the page.
Isn't there a cross on Isom's costume too?
Yeah, and if we want to talk about Isom, and this is a thing, it's not really in the book because we only had one look at his costume, but in the official art for Isom, right? And I say official because not fan art. This is art that Eric July had commissioned for covers, for posters, for shirts, right? His costume changes between all the commissions. Either the orange on the sleeves either goes all the way, they go halfway, it stops at his shoulder. It's an inconsistent design for Isom.
I always thought it was very odd. He had like a he kind of has the, let me share this here. Like it's right above his pelvic bone. He's got it cross on his dick.
Yeah. But you see, okay, so you see the cross right there? That's black, right? And it's a different design from the other art, which shows a golden cross. If you look at his arms,
yes.
Look at his arms. He's got bands, right? So he's got orange, then black, then orange, then black. In other art, he has a large all the way all down his arm. See how the
and now
the
it's silver almost.
Yeah, no, look at his arms. It's a completely different design.
Oh, that's very inconsistent. See, this I would say was more in line with the last one than the first one.
Yeah. And that picture too, if you go back up real quick.
Oh, and this is the black's huge.
Yeah, and also his face is really weird.
And it's gold. Really, really weird. Oof.
Scroll back up though, to that one right there. Okay, what the hell's going on in this picture?
Because he's falling backwards. Clearly.
Not clearly, because look at his shadow. Look, we got this shadow here, right? Is his foot on the pavement, or is it this second foot up in the air? If it's up in the air, how is this shadow doing this? It's very weird. It's very weird.
It's the angling of this is very, very off. It kind of fucks with your mind, because if you look at this, there's no human possibility to be able to do this angle that low to the ground whatsoever.
Not just that, but the other individuals aren't angled towards him. They're not angled.
No.
They're angled in a different way. The buildings are not angled. The buildings are angled the other way, right? The buildings aren't angled forward towards us. The buildings are angled away from us.
Away from us, yeah. Oh my God.
There is a page here in my my kid pointed this out. I didn't even notice this.
Okay.
But when my kid pointed this out, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking nuts. Hold on. Let me find the page. All right, go back to that page where he's bouncing off the wall, right?
Towards the end?
Yeah, towards the end.
Do.
Keep going, keep going.
We'll get there, guys. I promise. I'll get there. I promise. I promise. All right, here we go. He's bouncing off
that
the
one
wall
right there.
Here. Yes.
That one right there. What the hell's going on with the guy's left leg, or his foot rather? The human foot does not turn that way.
Oh my! That looks like an animal foot, like a big animal. He's got one hoof. Yes. Oh, that looks so weird. Oh, now I can't unsee it. Actually, both feet aren't great, but this one is.
At least that one's
acceptable.
Forward. Right, this one's sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Your foot can't go that way.
That is so weird. That is so fucking weird.
Professional.
Yeah, well, again, I don't expect perfection. The thing is I can forgive something little like that if the story makes up for it. Or I can forgive a little bit of bad art if the story makes up for it, or vice versa, right? If the story's not great and the art is spectacular,
well, here's the thing. If the art is not
there's
great,
a little give and take.
Right. But Jim Lee had bad art. He's like one of the only people. Not Jim Lee. The guy.
What?
Not Jim Lee. The guy. The other guy. The one that drew the people that were real big and couldn't draw feet. That was his name.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fuck. Come on. He did X Factor and.
Oh, Rob Liefeld?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
His art wasn't the greatest, but it was so action packed that you just kind of overlooked it.
Right. There's a dynamicism to it.
This art is it's so boring, right? That so you start looking at things, you go, wait a minute, this is weird looking.
Yeah, I get it. Did Cliff get paid bare minimum? Or draw pages in order? A lot of the issues he's pointing out with the art is almost sequentially in order, right? Like it's not like we're talking about page 1 and page 74. We're talking about panels on the same page. So it definitely feels like they were probably drawn in order. And if Eric really does micromanage and he missed all of this, that's a big issue. He needs to hire a professional editor.
And again, so the book is like what, 92 pages, something like that?
Yeah, around there. 96 maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. So issues that I had with this, okay? So number 1, he calls this the ill-advised arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the very first issue of the comic. There shouldn't be any arc. We're not into an arc. An arc usually, Spider-Man number 1 didn't start like, hey, this is the Sinister Six arc, right? It was just Spider-Man number 1. We had a couple issues, we learned some things, and then you start having a 3 or 4 issue arc to cover a bigger story, right? We need smaller stories to
that I
establish what
disagree.
the hell's going on. How could you have an arc?
Okay. There are many times when we get a new story, like an introduction to a character, and it's a 6-issue arc, and it's, you know, got a title to it. That's pretty normal.
Usually, so here's where I disagree with you. Usually those characters, it's like Marvel introduces a new character in the Marvel universe, right? And so we have established bases for the character, right? There's anchor points in the universe already. We know nothing about the universe. This is, you know, if Yaira started off with an arc, I'd say, okay, this is based in the Isom universe, right? So we have an established anchor point for this. There's nothing here.
Right.
This first issue, which is 96, 92, whatever the fuck it is, right? It should be establishing the whole world. It should be establishing the character, what's going on, and why we should be interested in this universe of Isom. Then we can start having an arc, right? And once we know who he is, why we like him, what's going on, then you have it like a 2 or 3 issue arc. Secondly, how the hell, and again, here's why I think this is bad. This is a 96, 90, whatever I keep saying, whatever. It's over 90 page comic book, right? It should be self-contained. How are you going to have 3 90-page comic books for an arc, right? It's a 180-page arc. This is like what, 3 or 4 floppies worth? This should be one story.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, you could call it ill-advised as the title of the trade, because anytime like they collect trades for DC, you know, they collect recently Punchline. It wasn't her introduction. Now, mind you, you're right. She was introduced in Batman, but her own solo series was called Gotham Game. So I could understand, and that's 6 issues, so about 120 pages. I could understand a title like that. But I don't think you need to necessarily call it an arc. It's supposedly an origin, an introduction.
Yeah. Like I said, it's paced very badly.
Yeah, I did notice the pacing. I got very bored from time to time. Very well, it wasn't even very quickly. It was, okay, I can at least, you know, try to enjoy this Isom stuff. Oh, hold on, we got some farmers. I can try to enjoy this Isom stuff. Okay, we got some super cops. Like, the pacing was off, and it drug at the farmer part just made no sense to me.
A lot of it made no sense. Again, it's just like you said, we had all of a sudden we have these police officers do their little 3-page thing. Then that stops, never comes back to. Then we had the farmer thing, and then he goes into like a door, like, oh, something's going on. He goes into a door with a gun, never comes back to that. Is that the hook for the next issue? What's the hook for the next issue? Right?
To find out if it's human trafficking, so I can be right or not. No, I'm just kidding.
No. What I'm saying is, like, we had the thing with the cops at the beginning. Okay, that sounds like that's really important. That's the first thing you're introduced. She's back, right? Boom, you're into it. Okay, it has nothing to do with that, right? The rest of the comic.
No,
the mystery door, nothing to do with it. Yaira and the super cops, they show up and then they're gone. That's not. They're not the villains. She's not the villain of the comic. They're just there and gone. The 2 people in the club show up. They're there and gone. Who the hell? What are we building towards? What is the story? Other than some guy went to look for a girl, found her, but then he got disrespected, so now he's pissed.
Did he, in that moment, he had already... See, I may have read that incorrectly. I want to look back, because you're saying that he saw the girl...
Yes, and he walks up to her, he goes, Jasmine. She looks at him because he pulls his hoodie off. He tells her something, and he even goes, let me know if you're in trouble. And then he gets approached by those guys like, hey, stop bothering. Remember, as far as the security guard is concerned, they're just out back, right? They see Jasmine leave the club. All right, Jasmine, see you tomorrow. She leaves. Then some guy approaches her, right? And they're like, oh, shit, why is that guy bothering her? Right, let's go see what's going on. Hey, dude, don't leave the girls alone, right? And then he just beats them up. Like, they're just doing their job. They're just 2 security guards going, hey, someone's, bothering one of the ladies from the club.
Oh, my God.
See, you can't be harassing our ladies. Move on. They're literally like, hey, dude, leave this chick alone.
And she does take off, but that's why I'm saying she was obviously Like there was obviously some weird play with why she was there.
Go back down. Scroll back or up, however you want. No, up to where she sees him. Right. Go up. Look at. She goes. She knows who he is. Avery, what are you? Oh God! Because remember, she worked for the sister. And if my theory of she's spying on the sister's company, she's like, oh shit.
Like
how do I explain? Now look at the next panel. Keep scrolling. She's looking down in shame.
Yeah, which could also be leading to my theory.
She's ashamed that she went from being an intern at a high company to now she's being trafficked. Just overnight. She just
yeah. Now she's a call girl for him.
It just boggles my mind.
It is. It's too open-ended, and that's why I said in the beginning, my mind will logically fill in blanks in order to justify storytelling. So I assumed that she was there against her will. I assumed that she was at least against her will or being kind of exploited for her body.
And look at the angle here. She's looking over his shoulder. She sees the guys. She's not like,
and she's scared.
No, she's
scared.
not. Because
she's running.
She's not running. There's no running in there. She's not running. She's moving away from Avery.
Or she's running away from these guys. That's why she left.
So let's assume your theory is correct. So our hero who obviously feels that she's in some sort of danger, doesn't go and get her and rescue her. No, he goes back to the club and beats people up.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, you're right. He should absolutely. But he was already in this fight, right? It had already begun, and now he's got to finish it.
No, he doesn't. Go back. Keep scrolling through the story. No, keep scrolling through the story because he beats those guys up, right?
Right.
Keep going.
And now there's some other guys.
No, there isn't. Go back up. You missed it. There isn't other guys. He walks over to the other guys. He's literally done with this fight. He can go after the chick. And he's like, no, I'm going to go beat up other guys. Now go back up. Go back up to the panel.
Sorry, it's so dumb.
Go back up right here. Explain this. Explain these 4 panels. Go up. Oh, go up a little. Okay, so she's choking this guy out, right? Guy is on the left. Guy is behind the bald. So we got guy with hair behind the bald guy. Boom. Isom slams bald guy. Guy with hair is still in between. He's still on the other side.
Right.
Now go down. Now he's behind Isom. He has teleportation powers.
He got really scared and went behind him. He wanted out.
How did he manage to get behind him?
I mean, he may have walked that way, but that would be a really dumb way to walk. Walk by the guy that's beating people up.
Isom chokeslams this guy and then stands there and waits while the other guy walks behind him very slowly so he can whack him from the... I got you. What is this? This isn't even a proper fight.
Bad.
The choreography on this is so terrible.
Oh my God. What were they? Come on, Cliff Richards. I know you're better than this. Button, I'm sorry. We're not fighting. I always say debate, but it always ends up being a conversation. No fighting.
No. Tristan is being educated why this book sucks and it's terrible. That's not nitpicking, other side. How is that nitpicking? It's literally I'm watching the action going, what the hell's going on? How is this possible?
You're a little nitpicky, even more than me. You're a little nitpicky, but here's the thing. Here's the difference why
Am
you
I
can
more
be a lot
nitpicky
more
than Eric?
You shouldn't be. He should be the one that's nitpicky here.
No, I'm talking about the way he nitpicks other comics. Am I more nitpicky?
No. And you paid money for it.
I'm holding his comic to the standard he has already set, right? That is the standard of review of discourse online, is this version. What I'm doing is what he does and what others in that sphere do, right?
100%. Actually, what would have been more fair is if you'd have taken panels out of context, and then like the stuff about this the farmer stuff, or like where the weirdness where the white guy and the black guy meet up for a second and they shake hands. Like, you should have taken those out of context, shown those panels, and then made a video about how outrageous it is.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that. I literally just talked about the comic and what it is. Also, apparently, so a side note, right? Because I still get comments on all my Ripa stuff every once in a while, right? And I always love that my comments are always, "Hey, you crazy leftist whitey, check your white privilege." And I always gotta be like, "Dude, I'm a right-wing Latino. I'm not even white." Like everyone assumes that if you're criticizing Isom, you must be a white guy.
Wait,
It's really weird.
why would that be?
Because they always tell me that I'm angry at the successful black man and that I'm racist. I'm a racist white guy.
Okay, I get that comment too, but I'm actually the whitest person ever, so I get it.
But I'm not. Yeah.
I mean,
also, if you look at the rest of my
jealousy
content,
thing.
Yeah, but if you look at the rest of my content, right, I'm very clearly not on the left. Very clearly.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's not that's where it goes to these partisan politics, right? It goes to, obviously, the only reason you could possibly dislike this book is because you're the kind of content he really facilitates is a crackhead or a weirdo or whatever he says.
I'm a weirdo crackhead.
Has he made a video about you yet?
No, he did try quote tweeting me, and that stopped after like the first day.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised.
I wish he would, because I would love to discuss all these criticisms with Mr. July. You know, I'm sure he'll tell me why I'm wrong and why human anatomy, does the thing. Why this makes sense in his mind. But yeah, the whole story, none of it makes any sense. Again, we have no idea how Darren organized his thing. Is he still a criminal? Right? Because remember, we know that he said he built his empire on some legal stuff and some not so legal stuff, right? But that doesn't mean that he's still a criminal. We do sort of know. Right?
I mean, I think they kind of hint that he's still a criminal.
I was going to say they kind of hint, but what I'm saying is, because we know that Texas has seceded, right?
Right. No, I mean, we didn't know that, but
well,
I guess
I know that.
Right.
So the question then becomes, did they give him some sort of immunity? It's got to be a different legal system, right? Because it's no longer the U.S. So it's like, hey, your crimes that you committed when we were in the U.S. are no longer valid, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now he could technically
but I bet he never thought of that.
He never got that far ahead in his line of thinking?
No fucking way. Not after the stuff you've showed today. There's no possible way he got that far in his logical train of thought, because, again, a lot of stuff like with the Texas and the seceding and all of that I had no idea about until today could have been done very simply in a cover page or a landing page that said, hey, this is what happened. Here's what you need to know. Boom, into the story. Simple. And it would also made I guess it wouldn't have made that make some more sense. I was going to say it would have made the 2 weeks earlier make more sense, but no, not really.
All right. So the other issue I had with the comic, and then this is a general thing, is none of the characters have any personality. If I were to take any of the lines that didn't include words like people's names, right? If I didn't have the line that said, hey, Avery, right? But if I just included random bubbles and I said, tell me what character this is, you would have no idea. None of them have any distinct personality.
No sort of individual voice whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
They all sound like they're just the same person talking. It's all Eric July.
I was just going to say that. You mean they sound like Eric July?
Yeah. So, that's an issue.
God. Yeah, that's a big issue. I'll still praise stuff like The Walking Dead, right? It was very clear you could tell the difference between Rick and Eugene talking. They have very clear personalities. They have very clear ways of speaking. This, however, felt like they were extremely interchangeable.
So you got that going for you. So, that's fantastic. Again, why am I interested in any of the characters? I've been shown really nothing, right? It's like 3 panels or 3 pages of Yaira, like 3 pages of Alpha Core. Why is everybody going nuts? Like, oh my god, these are the greatest. It's like, what?
Did they read it? Out of like, I do feel like, okay, out of basic curiosity, do you think this is just simple the idea of owning the libs kind of YouTuber merch?
Yeah, it is 100% YouTuber merch. It's 100%. None of his fans are ever going to say anything to get them out of the sphere, right? And they're all lockstep. You know, Tristan can't get a win. They can't say, hey, this book ain't that great, because then they're afraid that someone like you will go, hey, see, look, his fans even think it's not that great, right? Because you will. You know, we all know that. Like, let's not play this game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're like, I'm not going to say anything bad, because if I do, then people are going to pounce on it, and then they're going to be like, see, even his fans don't like it. So they're all going to say it's great, it's fantastic. Maybe whispered in some like secret back room, they'll admit their feelings, but then no one's ever going to publicly step out of line as far as this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He is the new Stan Lee, right?
What?
You didn't hear that one?
No, I did not hear that one.
Yeah, they said he was the new Stan Lee. He's the new Stan Lee. Also, did you know Yaira is super old?
Excuse me?
Yeah. Yaira is super old. You didn't know that?
No, I totally assumed she was like in her 20s.
No, I think she's like hundreds of years old.
What? Where? Is that in those cards?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that maybe was gonna reveal? Like, I know he's got the Soska sisters doing a individual Yaira book. I could understand how maybe he would want to go into that in the origin story. Maybe.
But then why include it in the card?
Yeah, I don't know. That I can't justify. I could understand why it wouldn't be in the book necessarily, because maybe they want to go into that origin for its own separate tale, because this book is called Isom. It's supposed to be his book. But
But here's the thing, right? So here's the thing with that. These cards are supposed to be the mysterious Documon, right? The mysterious Documon. He's like the Pokemon that documents things. Half of the cards are like, I don't know what this character's age is. I have no idea what this guy's power is. Could you imagine if the Watcher was like, let me tell you about Spider-Man. I have no idea who he is or what's under the mask, and I've been following him for 6 years and got no clue. Read the next issue.
No, that's
because literally,
yeah.
This is what he says about Yaira. Her age is eluding me, but she does appear ancient, perhaps more so than I have. I've been busy keeping up with her longer than any other subject. She has knowledge that exceeds those who appear very elderly. She's an archaeologist in occupation, but she's most recently been a consultant for Projexis. Projexis is the company that Altona works for, by the way.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
It literally says that on the page when she's introduced.
Okay. All right.
Also, no, she's also a biologist. So she's an archaeologist biologist.
Damn, this bitch can do anything.
She's got 2 lifetimes worth of study, and that doesn't that's not how I know she's older than what she appears. She doesn't have any known allegiances, and she certainly isn't a hero. Every relationship seems short-lived and tactical. I've seen her kill small armies of men, so she is more powerful than entire armies. Yet she doesn't quite seem evil. Either way, this woman is dangerous.
Okay.
Now, here are her powers. When her powers are activated, her hair and fingertips turn bluish. She has constant whirlwinds that surround her, which could explain her flight. Icicles seem to grow from her pores. This guy has watched her for years, and everything he's described is like, I think they seem to grow. I'm not sure. I'm the mysterious Watcher guy.
Hold on, back up. Icicles grow from her pores?
Yeah, those blue things were icicles.
No, they were not.
Yes, they were.
Oh my no, they weren't. They absolutely weren't. But we can.
No, they absolutely were. They 100% were. That was ice. She has ice powers.
What? Stop it.
I'm assuming
that is ridiculous. ridiculous.
It might be an energy that causes like a cold beam or something, right? But if you look, because in the first shot where she first shows up, she hits the guy with something. She physically hits him. Go back. It's one panel back. See, she hits him with something physical. That's a
I thought it
physical
was
thing.
okay. I guess I could see how it could be ice. I assumed it was some sort of like energy meme.
No, because it's physical. You have blood,
Yeah,
so obviously it's a physicality.
Yeah.
Also, she gets punched in the face, starts bleeding, and it's never shown from where. Did you notice that?
No, but this is not icicles that grow from rapport. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cliff Richards. You did not illustrate this in a way. I thought this was some sort of like aura, like for real aura. That's the only thing that made sense. Robert, thank you so much. Eric, like Liefeld, make characters now, lore later. Maybe he's a big Liefeld fan.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but Liefeld's characters at least got other writers to kind of make them a little bit better.
No. You see that second panel? Go back up. Scroll up.
Okay,
that's clearly blood, right?
Right.
So when they scroll a close up to her face, she has no injury. Where did the blood come from?
She didn't get hit though? Like,
yes, she did. She got hit. Clearly, this guy in the helmet clearly has hit her hard enough to draw blood.
All right.
Now go to the next. Keep going to the panels, because we're going to see a close up of her face. Keep going, because no injury.
Yeah.
No blood, no splatter, no cut, no nosebleed, not even a little dot to indicate her nose was bleeding. Right? No cut on her forehead. Nothing. Where did the blood come from? Magic blood?
Yeah. Okay. She has healing powers. That's what it is. She has healing powers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's no justification for a lot of these things. There really isn't. When it comes to this team, I wanted to talk about them a little bit, because initially you had done a video before Isom #1 came out that said you thought he was taking ideas from Zod.
Yeah.
Like, do you still think that's where this idea came from? I think it's more Green Lantern.
I think it's a combination. I think it's inspired because you got the 3-man group. I understand people go, oh, it's 3 people and one of them's a girl, right? But you could just, like I said, you could see the way they're standing, the way he's got this Superman-esque aura to him. She's clinging to him. The other guy is off to the side.
Because clearly and obviously he is the leader.
Clearly and obviously, yeah. So.
Oh, okay. And this is the one that Chuck Dixon's going to be taking over for, right?
I believe so.
That's what I thought. Chuck Dixon in his prime could definitely make this formidable as far as a comic goes. I don't know now. I haven't read any of his recent stuff, but I do think Chuck Dixon's got a lot more talent than Eric July does.
Well, here's one weird thing that I found. Why the hell is that one guy named Braxwell? Everyone else gets a last name. He's a Brian Solari, Ingrid Valdez, Braxwell. Like, it's not got a last name.
Well, maybe he's covering his face. Maybe he's incognito.
Yeah, but why would okay? So let's say he's incognito, right? He doesn't want to have his identity. Dude, we need you to have a name, right? Like, I'm Brian Solari, Ingrid Valdez. We need a badass name for you, Mr. Helmet Guy. I know. Call me Braxwell.
I mean, people
are. It's a stupid ass name.
It is a stupid name, but like, there's a lot of stupid names.
If someone said, "Hey, there's a character called Braxwell," I would think he'd be wearing a polo shirt and getting ready to go on a yacht. He's going for a meeting. Right? This is not Scream badass alpha core.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, but we've seen like we've got characters named the Joker and Punchline and Batman. Yeah,
but the Joker, what is the Joker? Could you imagine if the character's name was Joker and then he was dressed up like a jockey? No, he's the Joker and he's dressed up like a clown.
Right, or like Harley Quinn. She's dressed up like a Harley Quinn. Or Punchline, she's got that whole theme. Like, I get what you're saying, but we have had dumb names in comics, so I get it. But like, it looks like maybe he's trying to be incognito. But why would you need to be if you're in the super police? You seem
Also,
power.
Names at the very least, if it's a dumb name, like if his name was like Fire Guy, right? You'd be like, okay, his powers are fire based, right? Like his name has no indication of what he does. He has no indication of who he is. It's not badass. It's just a stupid name. It's like a Braxwell.
Maybe he can use water from wells.
He uses Brax very well. Whatever Brax are, he does them very well.
Yes. It's important that we all know he can use the water from the wells while he's Braxting them.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't see the Zod comparison anymore, but I don't think that the whole thing to me, and I'll be honest with you.
What is Zod? No. We're gonna go back to this because you don't see it, right? Zod is a super powerful being who is an army member, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, he was in the army. He's super powerful. He's not necessarily evil, right? Because people are like, oh, Zod's evil, but he's not really evil. He just wants to rule, and he wants to enforce his version of what he sees as society. And,
he's not necessarily evil. He'll just kill you and, murder the whole earth.
Well, when I say evil, right? Because remember, there's a difference between some guy who goes out and like stabs people. That's evil, right? Versus a guy who's like, my goal is to make money, and if I do things that are bad, oh well, right? They're different levels of right.
Right.
Remember, this guy is in what is essentially above the army, above the super. He's like the super powered authority figure. He's an authority figure. He's like they're both almost like fascist type beings.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I see your comparison, but this one, that would be like if we were seeing the side from Krypton, right? We were seeing that side of it. So I could see that, but this just reminded me more of like fascist cops, right? With a license to do whatever they want. Because it does seem like they're clearly working with the government, right? Like, I'm not the only one that got that.
Yeah, but we don't know how closely. We don't know. Remember, because this is not the U.S. government. Remember? We don't know.
Yeah, you're right. So it could be just the Texan government that has allowed them to come in. And also, wouldn't it make sense if Texas is obviously not able to withstand a war against the United States by themselves? They would clearly need people like this on their side. And I think that's the story that Chuck Dixon needs to tell, but I don't know if he will.
But why would then, okay, so what makes no sense to me, why would these superpowered beings, imagine you're a superpowered being, right? And Texas goes, we cannot stop the U.S. government. Mr. Superpowered Being, can you help us? Why would you then go, I've now defeated the U.S. government. I am going to hand over complete control of
you would want to
back
roll.
To you. Like, no.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't make a whole lot.
And does the U.S. have superpowered beings? Was it the war?
Or is it just Texas?
Did
they ever say?
No, they did. It's just the war of separation happened, and it's over. And we don't even know the extent as far as like what the destruction, how much separated. Because I think it's more than Texas. I think it's more than just Texas.
Okay, that's where they should have started this story, showing Isom in the war, and then cutting to the current timeline. Do you see how much more, like, if you started with that and he had like some sort of, maybe traumatic flashback, because he said that he's been out of the business for 30 years, so he clearly didn't even help in this war. Fucking insane. So clearly we're looking at a character that is not a hero, because if you're I'm sorry, can you see honestly in your head if there's some huge war from Gotham trying to secede from the nation, can you see Batman just chilling in his basement?
Yeah,
it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen.
There is no reality. No reality. Mm-hmm. And I hate to break this to all the conservatives out there and to all the liberals. There is no reality in which any state in the union is ever going to be allowed to leave. Ever. Never. It's never going to happen. Texas is not leaving.
California's not leaving.
We might kick out Florida, but that's about it, right? Nothing
We
else.
want to kick out Florida, but it won't happen. Sorry, Bianca. You got to go.
It's because the economics and everything, right? You just couldn't allow it to happen.
No.
It would destroy the country if one of those things happened. And so everything, the full force of the U.S. government would rain down upon you. Right?
But we're talking about a comic book, so you do have to kind of remove those like ideals of.
Yeah, but you have to at least address how this is possible, why it worked out, and why is it still going on, right? What were the ramifications of these things?
No. You have to say that they actually happened. He didn't even say that they happened.
Oh, that too.
Like, you can't address something you didn't know happened. And clearly the city that we're put into is perfectly fine. Right? Like, obviously it's just a normal city, so it wasn't affected by the war. How is that even possible?
Also, what the hell is the name of this city? Because it is spelled as if Flores Park, but it's all one word. So is it Flores Park, but one word, which is stupid? Why would it be Flores Park, but one word?
I didn't even notice. I was actually going to ask you what the city was. Is it a real city or is it made up?
Well, there is a real place called Flores Park in Texas, but it's two words. It's not a singular word.
So it's likely a typo.
Throughout the whole book and every single piece of merchandise.
Okay. Yeah, then not a typo. Then maybe they were... I don't know. There's no justification for that. Like, these are things that I keep going back to. These are things that an editor could have very clearly and easily picked up on and done a very good job just getting rid of these little nitpicks. And again, I'm not saying nitpicks in a bad way. You paid $35 for this book. You're allowed to nitpick. And the nitpicks, again, that we see from Eric are just
out of context panels.
Yes, out of context panels. And that's where I go back to the DMCA thing, right? Because he shows panels off like that all the time.
Yeah, but to be fair, like if I showed a panel of Pregnant Joker and I was talking about the panel Pregnant Joker, that's fair use. If I showed the panel of Pregnant Joker and I was talking about the state of the comic book industry, that's not fair use.
Right, because it's not pertaining to what you're talking about.
Right.
But I can...
That's why I said I didn't see any of the, I don't have the tweets in front of me to go, yes, no, yes,
right.
yes, no, right? So
the one I did see, and the one that I thought was pretty, there was two that were really, really silly. The one of Vicky, I think he just has a vendetta against her because she doesn't like the book. And she's very like vocal about stuff with this book and with
Cyberfrog?
I guess Cyberfrog, all of Comicsgate, yeah. So, but hers was comparing and contrasting Spawn character development as compared to Isom character development. The one that we saw yesterday literally was one panel that said something along the lines of how many, in that section it says like it's got an editor's note and it says that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Saying how many stories is he setting it up in this book? What is this, BVS? And that's all it said. It was one panel. Now I could, and again, I said this yesterday, I could understand if somebody was showing a good chunk of the book, because that's the narrative that he's going with. But I have yet to see proof of that.
Here's the other thing, right? And again, I don't know, and this is only speculation. I don't know what other tweets these individuals put out. Maybe that's, they're showing the one tweet with the one panel, but maybe there was like 17 other tweets that went along with it, right? So he just flagged all of them because it's all in the series. It's all the thread, right?
Oh, like it can go underneath it?
Yeah. Because remember, you
Okay.
could tweet and then you could reply to your tweet. So it could have been a series.
It could have
of
been a
tweets.
series of tweets. Yes, it very well could have. Again, I'm not a Twitter user, so I didn't even think about that. But yes, that could very well be, but from like what I've seen. And again, I even gave him the one because the one that Dane from Actual Fandom, and I had somebody say yesterday, well, I thought you hated Dane. Why are you sticking up for him now? No, the dude's a douchebag. Like the douchiest of the douche. Like
Yeah.
he's an idiot. He's a woke school that thinks he's so progressive he gets to now be racist because
Horseshoe
reasons.
theory.
Yes, exactly. But his was it really it was trying to be a meme, but it literally had the websites right on it, encouraging people to go read it. I could give him that one. That was pretty shitty, right?
Yeah.
And he tried to make it seem like it straight up came from Eric himself. Like that one I can understand. The other ones I'm like, no, just you don't.
Again, I'm not an Eric July fan. I'm not here to stand for Eric July. But what I'm saying is, I don't know the context, and it's very in this day and age. Lots of people like to play victim, and lots of people like to do shit that is shitty, and then cover up the shitty things
Right.
and go, "Look, I got flagged for this one singular tweet. I didn't do anything else wrong, guys." And we've seen that. We've seen literally people go to Gen Con, get punched because they call people a pedo on Twitter and then pretend like they didn't know that person and that this was a random act of violence being brought upon them, right?
Right, exactly. So that could be, and I didn't even think of the threads theory. It could have been there was a bunch of threads underneath. I know Robert personally saw the Spawn one, and he said it was a compare and contrast. What Vicky sent me, because I did ask her before going live yesterday to talk about it, was confirmed the exact same thing. She sent me the screenshot. Other than that, I do think it's in bad taste in my opinion. Just because
I agree 100%, but
okay. I was gonna say it then there's also the Streisand effect, right?
yeah.
Because people that don't know necessarily exactly what happened will tell, so and so that, oh my God, he just DMCA'd a bunch of people and he can't even take a little bit of criticism. And then that person tells the other person, and it becomes, even if they're not knowing the truth, it becomes a kind of cascading effect of misinformation.
Yeah. And again, not to say that necessarily Vicky or anybody did this, but there's a lot of people that do this purposefully for that, right? Like,
For sure.
I need to get Eric to flag me so that I can make a big deal, right? So you got to understand that. Again, not a big fan of Eric July, not a big fan of his book. I think it's terrible. It's a very, very bad book. But again, I don't know
Fair
what's
is
going on
fair.
exactly with this situation. Yeah, fair is fair. And I'm not going to just be like, jump on and be like, no, you're wrong, right? I'll look into it and then I'll decide whether or not I agree or disagree.
Right.
And again, like I said, personally, I would have never flagged anybody just because they're not his fans. They're not going to be his fans. They're never going to. If his comic is as good as he says it is, or as good as he thinks he is, or it's as good as we think that he thinks it is, right? And it shouldn't matter what you say about it. Even an out of context panel should be like, yeah, it's better than Marvel at least, right?
Right. And that's what he went in. I don't know necessarily saying that it was better than Marvel, but it was like an alternative media.
No, he was 100%. All of them were going, it's going to be better than Marvel. It's better. This is the, we're going to win. We're going to destroy. He literally said, we're going to change
we're
the
going
comic
to
book
win. In the comic book was so fucking cringy. I'm sorry. That's so bad. Saggy, my love. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah. And just so people know, right? Because people might not be familiar with me, right? So the thing is, for like the last 20 years, I have been paid on and off to review various media. That includes comic books. Various comic book websites paid me money, hundreds of dollars to review comic books specifically, right? I've been paid to write dialogue for video games. I've been paid to do scripts. Like people like, hey, we're trying to do this series. Could you write a script and we'll pay you some money, blah, 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 right? So I have experience in dialogue and writing and reviewing and criticism, right? So it's not just some random asshole that's like, hey, I just don't like Eric July and here's what I think, right?
out of curiosity, now I don't know if you've read it or not, but I've given I've had Vito show up a couple times in my chat. I don't think he's exactly a fan. He wasn't happy with what I had to say about Isom. But have you had a chance? Like when it comes to his book, it actually does look very good.
I've had a chance not only to preview the art and stuff. We've talked about the book. He showed me the script. It does look really good.
The art is great.
If he pulls off what he's attempting to pull off, like I said, between now and what the final product is, I can't say. But what I've seen, what he has, the script that he has written, is very well done. It's worth it. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to actually seeing it come to life in art form. And the panels that I've seen, the preview panels, and to be fair to Vito, right? So he's shown off panels to people, a select group, and like people are like, "Hey, this is a little wonky," or this, and he's done changes and like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Maybe if I do this, or if I added this thing, or change the perspective a little." So he's taken criticism already print.
Wait, you're saying he didn't make videos about it and call them haters and crackheads?
No. He didn't yell at people in the DM group or nothing. So
that's crazy. It's almost like, a little bit of professionalism goes a long way.
Yeah. And I know you're excited for the Soska sisters. I never heard of them.
I like them. I do. They had a great Black Widow run.
But here's my query for you. Do you believe that they're going to be given the kings to the kingdom? Or do you think Eric July is like, here's the story, now write that?
I think they're going to be given a direction. I do think when you're working with a level of somebody like the Soska sisters or Chuck Dixon, or I think he just got he's an artist, but I forget his first name, Bennett. You have to give them a little bit of creative freedom in order to actually see them succeed. You can't say, here's step by step what you need to do. There has to be a little bit of success,
Tristan?
A good story is success.
Because we've had what is called a successful book, what we've been discussing for the last hour and 47 minutes. And I wouldn't say it's a good book, but it made a lot of money. And that is the success that Eric is looking for, money, right?
Right.
And
okay, that's fair.
If he's handing the Soska sisters a check to use their name, essentially, right? You're popular, you're famous. Here's money. Slap your name on this book that I want you to write, and here's the script, basically, right? Do you think they're going to turn it down?
No, of course not. Then
we've seen the art from Chuck Dixon in this book, who you said he's actually a pretty good artist, but kind of dropped the ball here, right?
No, this is Cliff Richards. Chuck is the writer for yeah. But no, I mean, I would like to think with that level of talent that you're receiving, you're paying for the talent, right? That is what you are.
He's not though. He's paying for the name. He literally, and this is how I know it's true, right? Because Eric July literally went out of his way to hire the community manager who was fired from limited run games because, hey, look, I just hired this conservative who was fired from a liberal company. Ain't I awesome?
Wait, really?
Yeah. You didn't know about that?
No, I had no idea. So what is this person? What do they do?
Okay, so there was a community manager for Limited Run Games. It's a company that makes games, physical media.
Yeah, I know what Limited Run is, yeah.
Oh, I was explaining in case the audience don't know.
Okay.
Right? So she had some old tweets that were a little phobic, right? Someone brought it up, said, hey, look at these tweets, they're phobic. And so eventually Limited Run said, okay, we're going to let her go, right? They let her go. And then all the conservatives lost their mind. Oh my God, this is terrible. How could Limited Run do this, right? Which, again, makes no sense to me because I don't agree with it. I wouldn't have let her go, right? That's personally. But they're also of the mind, like the company can do whatever they want, right? Unless the company does something against conservatives, then they can't do what they want, I guess, whatever, right? So Eric July hired her.
Oh my God.
As part of his company. Specifically, right? Remember, it wasn't like, hey, this lady was like, no one knew who she was prior to this. It was like the world's greatest community manager, right? It was just some lady that got fired, so he decided to hire her. Like, oh, he's a great guy. Look at great guy Eric gave this lady a job. No, people do that shit for the fucking notoriety. Look what I did. Ain't I great?
Didn't he? Okay, so that actually explains a lot, because I think he then also, did he go out of his way to do the same for Gabe Al-Taib?
Yeah. And
Okay.
the guy he
Joe
just hired.
Bennett.
Yeah, isn't he? He's the one with the anti-Semitic stuff.
Yeah, and that one was a little like, I feel like that one, I don't know. I looking into it, I didn't feel like it was purposely anti-Semitic, because he's not. That's for you guys to decide whether you think it is either.
Wait. Oh, hold on. Well, what part are you talking about? You didn't feel was purposefully anti-Semitic?
The stuff in the, what was it? Was it Carnage that the book was on? No, it was Hawk. The stuff in the background.
Okay, so that stuff, right? You didn't think was anti-Semitic, and I'll give you that. But what about the drawings of the long-nosed, buck-teeth people being slaughtered by the evil villain?
Oh, I didn't see that. All
Yeah,
I seen was the jewelry thing.
Right, because he's had many controversies.
Oh, see, you know what? I'm not on social media like a lot of other people were, so I did not see that. So why would that look? Hold on. From a business standpoint, why would that be a smart decision for Eric at all to make?
Why? Because you, who are in the sphere, didn't know about it, right? Lots of people don't know because it happened so long ago and it got buried. And when the conservatives talk about Joe Bennett, they talk about the jewelry thing and not the other thing. And so people don't know about the other thing. So then they just think this guy was unfairly targeted, right?
Okay.
So the narrative has been spun. So now he hires this guy, and hey, he's a great guy for hiring this guy who was unceremoniously fired for no reason, right?
I see. You know what? It's his whole. Now that's 1, 2, 3, 4 people at least hiring because they were canceled. There's a pattern forming here. He's clearly using like the idea of cancel culture in his business. That's wild to me, because there is an audience for that.
See, so here it is. So people know what I'm talking about. In 2017, Joe Bennett drew a picture of Jair Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president, holding a sword. He was atop a horse with a sword in hand as he threatens caricatures of his political adversaries, including former President Dilma Rousseff, Luis Inácio da Silva, and Michael Temer, and veteran legislator Acio Neves. On Bolsonaro's chest is the Brazilian Republic symbol, and the red flags of his enemies are PTs, a leftist organization in Brazil. Bolsonaro's foes are shown having large noses and buck teeth.
Oh my God.
Images that some people, including
he shared those on social media?
This was on his, I believe, Instagram.
Oh my God.
Of course, they have been since yeeted into the thing, but that's one of the original controversies that he had.
Okay.
So
but that was not when he got fired. I think that's why a lot of people didn't know about that.
Right, but see, if you take these events, right, in a vacuum, each event on its own seems innocent, right? But then when you look at the pattern, you go, wait a minute, this guy might be doing it on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely he is. He is one step away from a Daily Wire show with Gina Carano.
So, it's like I said, I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe, not that I don't believe it exists, I don't believe in doing it. Let me clarify, right? But calling people out, that's what we do, right? That's what all of us do. Whether it's Quartering says he does it, that's what he does.
Yeah,
that's what 100%. Other people. So it's weird. It's always weird to me, right? You can call out leftists for doing something, and that's okay. He's bad leftist. Dylan Mulvaney, bad Dylan Mulvaney, bad Bud Light for having Dylan Mulvaney. That is okay. It's perfectly okay. But to go, hey, bad Joe Bennett for drawing anti-Semitism. No, don't say that. Whoa. That's cancel culture all of a sudden.
The weird thing is, to me, is when that's pointed out, when the double standard of that is pointed out, there's always, and that's why I know these people are so stuck in their echo chamber. There's always a justification for it. Like with, you mentioned the Dylan Mulvaney stuff. Well, we don't like that sort of messaging on our beer. It's one can for one trans person. And it became the catalyst for, I've seen so many fucking beer videos show up. I'm like, I'm beyond sick of it. It's ridiculous to go to that levels. That is cancel culture on the right. And to be honest, a lot of the cancel culture started on the right with like Christian conservatives doing stuff like, I mean, Mortal Kombat, look in the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, it goes further back than that. I mean, we've had cancel culture has existed since society has existed. Whenever one group of society goes, I don't like this thing, and then the other group goes, okay, we the Dark Ages were not the Dark Ages because people were nice to each other. It was essentially cancel culture gone to the extreme, right? The government bodies going, hey, this is wrong. The Spanish Inquisition didn't happen without the cancel culture of the time, right?
Right. And that's another thing with that is a lot of times it's just people sharing their opinions and it gets labeled as cancel culture. Like if I were to have known about that situation and I said, well, yeah, Joe Bennett is obviously being a racist, right? Like he's got some issues here with anti-Semitism. People would have said I was, by sharing my opinion on my platform, participating in cancel culture.
Yeah. I think cancel culture is, in my opinion, is when you try to pressure companies into bending towards your will, threatening people's jobs, their livelihood. Look, it's fine.
But that doesn't really happen, threatening people's jobs.
It does. And here's why. Look, there's a difference between going, hey, I don't agree with what Joe Bennett said, versus, hey, Marvel, Joe Bennett is a racist, and I'm going to make sure that no one buys Marvel comics until you get rid of them. That's the difference.
But isn't that your prerogative in a capitalistic environment?
No, it's your prerogative to go, I don't want to buy this. I am not supporting this. But to actively try to get people not to support this, that's, I think, where it crosses the line, right? Me going, I'm not going to watch Nerdette.
Okay,
that's a lot different versus me going to people's channels and going, why are you watching Nerdette? Hey, Raymond, I know you're watching Nerdette. How dare you? Yeah, how dare you? I'm going to let everyone know that Raymond's been watching Nerdette. Right? That's like, whoa, dude, calm the fuck down, right? Like, just, you have an opinion, and it's fine to have an opinion, but you don't need to push your opinion on other people or be mad when other people don't share your opinion. If the rest of the world is okay with Joe Bennett being anti-Semitic, then I just take the L, right? Like, I don't like it, but fuck, I guess the rest of the world is fucked up, right? Whatever.
I think a lot of it, like with myself, I try, like, something I wouldn't have done was support Eric's book, like what you did. I know you'd probably wanted to see how good it was.
I didn't support Eric's book. I want to make that clear. I did not buy Eric's book to support Eric's book. What I did was I put my money where my mouth was, right? If I'm going to criticize something, I have to have the thing. I'm not going to steal it. I'm not going to criticize it without reading it, right? I'm not going to say Barbie sucks without ever having watched Barbie. I have to watch Barbie in order to know if it's good or not, right? Supporting it would be, hey guys, go buy this book, right? That would be supporting.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I didn't personally because I think I disagree with his tactics. I disagree with the vicious cycle in Vito's in that cycle too, right? Because Eric's book is, hey, Marvel and DC suck, buy my book. And now Vito's kind of going along the same lines of, hey, Isom sucks, buy my book. Like, it's a vicious cycle.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to disagree. Vito, and again, I'll just say, I consider Vito a friend.
Right.
But to be fair, he's going, Isom's book sucks. Also, I have a book. You might want to check that out. He's not really going, buy this because the other one sucks.
Okay.
Where Eric goes, buy mine because theirs suck. You're a comic book fan, buy mine, theirs sucks.
Here's
Vito's
alternative.
Yeah. Vito's just going, that book sucks. Hey, by the way, here's another book that I'm doing. You might like it.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I think it definitely helps get eyes on his stuff because a lot of people like it. And I do think there will be a subset of people that buy Vito's book just to compare it to Isom to see if it's. Yeah, and I mean that's a marketing method. I mean,
well, there's going to be a subset of people that buy Vito's book just because he's Vito or because he's on The Biggest Problem in the Universe, because he's he does shows with Dick. So why people are buying the book is
wait, he does shows with Dick? What?
Dick Masterson.
I think I know who that is. Is he a guy with curly hair or something?
Yeah, he's got curly hair.
Okay, I think I know who that is. It was a very weird sentence for me not to realize who it was.
I did that on purpose. But yeah, like I said, so he's not necessarily saying, hey, buy this to that. And when it comes to the real public outcry versus Isom that Vito does, a lot of it is driven by his fans, right? Because they'll be like, hey, Vito, what do you think about Isom? Why don't you talk more about Isom, right? And you give the fans what they want.
Right. No, and I totally get that. It's good for your channel. It's good for what people understand. But I do think there is a bit of benefiting.
Oh yeah,
from this,
he's going to benefit from it, no doubt. I'm just saying that the motivation and as far as the actual buy this instead of that, it's not there.
Is this true? Angel Studios wants to make Isom into a movie.
Possibly. I know that Eric, when he first introduced Isom, he was talking about movies and TV shows, and it's going to be a huge thing. So
okay, but here's the thing.
Is Angel Studios the ones who did the Isom trailer, the animated trailer?
I don't know, but I know Angel Studios is the one that did that Sound of Freedom recently.
Yeah, which is a terrible movie. Don't go see Sound of Freedom.
Yeah, not planning on it, especially with the content.
No, I was just talking about the audience. Don't again, I am conservative as fuck. Okay, I am on the right, but Sound of Freedom is a terrible movie, and here's why: it is a lie. It's a fabrication. It is not a movie about, hey, let's protect children. It's a movie about, hey, I'm fucking awesome. Look at me for protecting children.
And it's also a lot of it is embellished, to my understanding.
No. It's not embellished. It's a lie. There's lies in the movie, right? There's a difference between, and I've talked about this on my channel. There's a difference between embellishment and lying, right? Saying that when you went to the store that everything was sold out is embellishment, right? Because there's probably was stuff there, right?
Right, exactly.
If you never went to the store, then the whole story is a fucking lie, right? There's a difference there.
And it's become this, it's interesting to me to see this because it's become this huge, thing on the right? It's oh my God, people are spreading awareness. Every single person on the planet is against human trafficking. Every single person.
I don't think so. Okay. The human traffickers aren't against human trafficking.
Okay, I embellished a little. I was being a bit hyperbolic. 99% of your fellow humans are against child trafficking.
Yeah.
It spreads awareness, my understanding at the end, by just saying donate to our studio. That's not helping anybody.
It doesn't help anybody. And also the two things that people might not be aware of. The guy who the movie's about, Tim Ballard.
Yeah.
He was actually kicked out of his own organization.
Yeah.
So, the Save Children guy was kicked out of the Save Children organization for reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
And two, the organization that the Save Children organization that they're talking about, 84%, and you don't quote me on the number, but from my recollection, it's 84% of the money that they get in does not go towards helping children.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because remember, these charities have to go through public, all the filings and all that.
Right.
When people have gone through them, and it basically they're not spending the money helping children. A lot of it is in the executive. What do they call it? people's salaries and
right. Oh, absolutely.
rent and all that.
That's fucking ridiculous. You know what? You brought up children, and I got to ask your opinion since we're talking about Isom. What did you think of that whole?
That was a weird transition.
That was
children,
a weird.
So let's talk about Isom.
No, I'll pull it together. I promise. The old like donate a book for $12.50 or whatever it was.
Well, it's a scam.
I've seen a lot. I was gonna say I wondered if you thought it was a scam because I've seen a lot of people calling it out as a scam in order to make more money.
It's 100% a scam, and to make more money. First off, he's going to write off all this as charitable donations, and he's going to write it off at the full cover price. That's not what it cost him to make the book. So already,
sure,
we're off to a bad start. Secondly, those organizations don't want your fucking comics. Okay, they have warehouses full of comics and shit. They'll take your money. Your money would help those children, right? They have comic books already. If you contact a lot of those places, because some people have, they basically said we have warehouses with comic books and stuff.
Right.
Having more comic books is not going to help. Okay.
But
unless you're donating to comics
lines, I can't hate on trying to help kids.
But here's the thing, right? I can't hate on the people buying the books because they think they're doing good, right? I'm not hating on those.
For sure.
I'm hating on Eric because he knows it's a manipulative tactic, right? He's using your empathy against you. He's saying, hey, don't you want to help children? Buy my book to donate to kids so you can feel good about yourself, right?
You can be the most altruistic in the room. You are helping a child by giving a tax write-off and giving them more books, which is likely going to sit in a warehouse.
Likely. Also, you know what's funny since you brought up warehouses? Everyone makes fun of Eric July because he's always showing off his warehouses, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a line in the book about Avery wanting to buy a warehouse.
Shut up. How did I miss? It is literally the self-insert of the year.
In the book, some guy during the farm part, that's probably why you missed it. The farmer, the guy comes for the delivery, right? And he's like, oh, I'm here to pick up the delivery. You didn't have to come out. And the farmer's like, no, you're our best customer. We're getting right. And they start talking about how the deliveries work. He's like, yes. And Avery wants to build a facility so they can do it in-house.
Yes.
So he's basically, without saying it, he's basically like, Avery wants to build a warehouse so we can hold the materials here.
I do remember that now. Oh my God. And I said from the beginning, I thought this was like a lot of people do write self-inserts. You have that, like, you know yourself the best. So it's easiest to write yourself. And I can understand that from a basic standpoint. If you write a self-insert that is good, I can understand that. If you write characters around them that are different and have their own clear, distinct voice that you can tell the difference from, I have no issue with it. Like, even going back to the 80s, there was a character in Suicide Squad that was a self-insert for Grant Morrison called The Writer, right? He was literally Grant Morrison. But every character around them had their own distinct voice. They were all built up. It wasn't this idea of like, I am literally this person and I am going to go beat up people that I don't know. Like. Yeah, don't like.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the spoiler of the year, right? But any writer who writes anything, their first character is always a self-insert, even if they don't mean it.
Right.
Because the only thing that you know is your thoughts, right? It's very hard for someone to get out of their own head and go, how would this person react to it versus how would I react to it, right? So you always write things and then like, well, if he disrespected me, this is what I would do, or this is what I would say, right? And that's how you write it. And then over the years, and as you hone your craft, you refine your ability to take yourself out of the equation and then write a character.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, there isn't. And it's not like, again, I'm not like saying that Eric is dumb and no, because you have to create a person. You have to create a person from whole cloth. You have to create their personality, their backstory, right? None of these things exist in reality. So you're creating this and you're nurturing this character from his inception until the point in the story that he's at now, right? You have to go, in you have to think. So who's Avery? When he was little, his dad left early, and his mom struggled, and she had 2 jobs, and he did this, and he was in high school, he was an athlete, right? You have to have all these things that are never going to be in the book, but you have to know them in order to know how this character is going to react to a certain situation. And I don't think he's never had any of that.
Yeah, and I totally, and it does reflect in the book. It does, and like I said, I still don't think it was the worst book ever. I still think there are salvageable things that can come from this. But when all we see from this man is literally the inability to take criticism, like it was like a month ago, I think it was EVS said something very, very milquetoast, and it pissed him off. Like, you've got to be able to. Is it ego? Is it narcissism? Like, why can't you take the basic constructive criticism?
It's both. It's not wanting to take an L. It's not wanting to give anyone the win. Remember, if part of it is brand, right? Publicly, if Eric July were to come out and say, you know what, that criticism was valid, right? Now you've poked holes into his facade, right? People are going, wait a minute, if that's valid, maybe this other thing is valid, maybe this other thing, right? So he can't let that sheen come off. He has to be pristine. He's this doesn't do anything wrong guy. Hopefully, privately, he can take some of the criticism, some of the nitpicks, whatever you want to call them, and internalize and say, you know what, they're right about this, right? I'm not going to admit it. I'm never going to come out and say it, but I'm going to improve it so that it's better next time. And I do have the second book on pre-order, right? So people know I'm in this for the long haul. If it's 17 books, I'm going to have all 17 because I'm going to criticize it. I'm going to talk about it. And no amount of people crying in my comment section is going to stop me.
Yeah, we've got a couple of those. I guess we're apparently obsessed weirdos. Okay, good one.
Yeah, he was calling me a bitch. It was like on Twitter for like 15 minutes or like an hour the other day. Like that was his only response to what I was saying. Well, you're a bitch. Like, dude, when you like 12, like I don't give a shit. Call me a bitch, whatever. But actually address the things that I'm saying.
Right. You know, but it's easier just to go to ad hominem.
Yeah. Now here's what I want to ask you, Tristan, since I got you here. Right? Do you believe in the leftist SJW agenda of infiltrating kids' television with woke leftist messages and making kids gay?
No, absolutely not.
Do you think that's a thing?
No, that's a thing that the right has made up because they don't want to see gay people.
Okay, so here's what I would say to that. Right? For, I don't know, at least the last 30 years, we've had nothing but children's media that was 100% straight, correct?
Right.
So why did not any of those gay kids turn straight? Why do we have gays? Why do gays exist?
Because you don't just turn straight or turn gay. It's not like,
exactly.
You know what, today,
that's what
I think I'm going to be gay.
That's the point I make. That's the point I was going with. So even if you don't agree with children's media showing trans people or whatever, or gay people, right? You know, I understand the difference between, hey, I don't want to see gay men having sex in a children's show. They'd be like, no, that's where you went a little too far, right? But Arthur's teacher marrying a dude, that's not going to make anybody gay. No one's going, wait a minute, I was straight, and then Arthur's teacher married a dude, and now I'm gay, right? Gay people exist, right? And they've existed, whether or not openly, forever. And no amount of straight movies, TV shows, comic books, literature, none of that has ever turned all the gays into straights, right? We don't have a society of nothing but straights based on the media that has been produced for the last 30, 40 years. So that should just tell you that really it's not a thing, right?
I mean, of course it's not. It's a narrative in order to demonize people that they don't necessarily agree with their lifestyle.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like the whole argument just falls apart when you put the reverse and go, wait a minute, for 30 years, straight shows have been on, and gay people still. So unless gay people are more resilient, are gay people like just able to resist all the straight propaganda?
But straight people are not.
Yeah. So
how do you have? Okay, here's this. How self-aware do you have to be to not see the propaganda in television? Propaganda to people right now, this word being thrown around, is whatever I disagree with, right? It's whatever I disagree with. We talked about points in this comic book that were clearly like like virtue signaling, like.
Well, here's the thing, right? So Gideon here says propaganda in television, but you didn't actually give me any examples, right? This is a very broad thing. And now, if I agree or disagree, I am basically putting a blanket statement that all of this, right? There, again, like I said with the Eric July situation, there could be very specific examples where we go, this particular show is propaganda, right?
Right.
And I could agree with that. But I'm not going to say all of it, and I'm not going to say every instance, right?
There's always been propaganda in television to some degree, right? Yeah. And of course, there is still propaganda in television and media, not just television, media, because you've got to include not only stuff that is on Nickelodeon, but stuff that's on PragerU, right? It's all propagandized to somebody's kind of beliefs. But when it comes to a lot of what I see when I get comments like that, it's more along the lines of, we don't want any sort of queer representation because
I agree 100%.
What?
Whatever you just said.
Okay. No, but that's what it is. We don't, and then other stuff like this. White to minorities, no other reason than diversity.
Well, that's true. I 100% agree with this statement.
There is a lot of change in diversity, and a lot of times it's very unnecessary, and it's very
it's all unnecessary.
It's like,
I've said it before. It's all unnecessary. There is no reason. There's 100% no reason to change a character's ethnicity, right? And you have to understand, if you look at it, if you really look at it, right, and we're just being objective. I am not white, and I'm not black either. They're not changing characters to any of them. It's not like they say, hey, we want a new Captain America, roll the dice, Chinese, right? Okay, right. We want a new Spider-Man, roll the dice, Jamaican, right? No, it's very specific in what they're doing.
It's very specific.
Right? So that is, I agree, that it shouldn't be done. It should never be done. Just create a new character. It's not that hard. But they want to make money.
It is to a degree, right? No, it is kind of hard because you're going to get a lot more eyes on something that's Batman labeled than you are going to get to create a new IP.
But what I'm saying is it's not hard to create a new character. That's not the hard part. What the hard part is to get people to accept and care about that character, right?
Miles Morales is a great example of it actually working out.
It worked out pretty well. I don't read Miles Morales, but I heard people like it. So,
I mean, not only do people like it, he's got 2 movies, one on the way, on a video game, and another one on the way. Like,
do you think Miles Morales is Spider-Man?
Yeah, of course he is.
Okay, so you 100% unequivocally believe Miles Morales is Spider-Man.
Yeah, so is Peter Parker, so is Miguel O'Hara, so is Penny Parker. Like, I'm not a big, I don't mind mantles like that.
Okay, I only ask because then I would say to you, how come Marvel has gone out of their way multiple times to change Miles Morales' name from Spider-Man to something else?
No, they did in the beginning, but it never worked out.
They did in the children's show. Literally in the children's show, the Spider-Man children's show, they literally make a point where they have to register their names.
Yeah.
And they go, you can't both be Spider-Man, so you have to be a different name. And then they give Miles Morales a different name.
Didn't know there was Miles Morales or Spider-Man Miles Morales Peter Parker show. What children's show?
It's a Spider-Man children's show. It's Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, and Miles.
Oh, I didn't even know that exists. That's cool.
It's Spidey and the Amazing Friends.
Oh, that's cool. I had no idea.
It's on like Disney Junior.
Oh, that's really neat.
And literally, like I said, because they register. So Peter Parker's Spidey, and then Miles Morales is called Spin. Because and then Gwen Stacy's Ghost Spider.
Well, Ghost Spider, I don't mind, but Spin is not a good name. Like, I wouldn't even have a problem if they changed his name, right? At the end of the day, you're looking at these characters as Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, and Peter Parker. And that's where I like the character. I don't just like a character because his name is Spider-Man, right? Like, I think there is some nuance, and I think he may... Like, I think it's too late for him specifically to change his name, because then we're going back to the thing of Eric. If you give him an inch, people will take a mile. That would be admitting that you should have done that from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I really don't have an issue. Now, I'm also not the biggest Spider-Man fan, right? This is the hypocrisy in me, which is probably normal for a lot of people. When it comes to Batman, I'm like, it's Bruce Wayne. It's Bruce Wayne. It's only Bruce Wayne, right? So I can fully see how I'm a hypocrite in that. When it comes to Miles Morales, I think he's had enough under his belt to be called Spider-Man.
Like I said, I don't care what he's called. They can both be Spider-Man. There can be 100 Spider-Man.
Right. And there was in the newest movie.
I haven't seen those movies. I didn't like the art style. So I
really?
Yeah.
You didn't like the animation?
No, when I saw the previews, I was like, I don't like that.
Holy crap. It was gorgeous. Did you like the animation for like Arcane or anything like that?
No.
Oh, you're weird. So it's official. You're weird. It's canon now, guys.
It's a canon event.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, going back to the propaganda thing, it's not, they're just finally being included. And I think that's a lot of what people don't like, right? They want to go back to.
I think that's not true. And
no?
I'm going to push back because you said finally being included, right? I am old enough to remember that gay people existed in movies and TV shows for a long time.
To the degree they are now, though.
Not to the degree, but here's the difference. And here's where I think people are having their issues, right? Before, a gay character was this fabulous, oh my God, look, it's the funny gay character, right? Like in Mannequin, right?
Right.
Clearly he's gay. What is it? Hollywood and Montrose favorite character. Right? It's clearly gay and over the top and everything, right? But now they're being treated as normal. That's what they don't like. They don't like that they're being normal.
That's a good point. They're just being parents. They're just being people. Okay.
It's fine to be the weirdo gay guy that's like, oh, look, he's fabulous and he's crazy. Aha, we laugh at him, right? But like, oh, he's just a normal dude. Now you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's because I'm a normal dude. And if he's a normal dude.
That's actually a really, really good. I never thought about it that way because, yeah, you can say, a lot of people will say it's propaganda, but it's absolutely just what you said. They're normal. And people don't like that. But now I do get the race swapping point. I do. I don't mind race swapping, but it's funny because like using the Eternals as a example, they race swapped and basically gender swapped 90% of the the so what shit. Yeah, it was okay. It was mid. Again, I have terrible taste in media, but
I'm a fan of the Eternals, so.
Well, I hadn't read much of the Eternals. I went back and did a video with Robert about the Eternals, and I didn't recognize a single one of them. Like, I had to have names because I'm going, why is this a white dude? Why is this a dude? Why is this a girl? Like, it was completely, if you completely change your brand to that degree, you're doing damage to your brand.
No, I don't think so. And to be fair, right? I would say like 90% of even Marvel fans didn't know who the Eternals were because they were not a prominent team. Right? They came out, they existed, they were a thing, and they just kind of fell into the background of the Marvel universe.
Right.
So them coming out and changing everything, like the amount of people that had a connection to like the Eternals, like, oh no, these are my favorite characters, like, it was probably pretty small.
For sure. Robert, thank you so much. Marketing teams are the ones making an agenda. I mean, the agenda is to make money, right?
Well, it's 100%. Here's the thing, right? And people don't understand this. The marketing team isn't going, hey, how can we piss off white people, right?
Right.
They're going, hey, we already have white people. We need to get black people and brown people and Chinese people. And so how do we do that? Well, let's make one of the characters Chinese. Then we'll get the Chinese people to watch the show because the white people already like this stuff. So they're built-in audience, right?
Right. And they're trying to cast the whitest net they possibly can.
Yeah. And then they end up pissing off a bunch of people and then no one watches it anyway.
Yeah, but that pissing them off is also free marketing. It's
not
free
really,
marketing.
Because look at what was it? Age of Ultron, right? They specifically cast a Chinese actress in a scene, and then that scene is actually extended in the Chinese version, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. I like Age of Ultron.
Yeah. She's like a doctor in that scene, right? And
I know you're talking about. Okay.
So that was a win. But then, because the marketing team is dumb, they cast Awkwafina in Shang-Chi, right? Say, hey, she's an Asian actress. Make her put this in this movie. China doesn't like her because she's not a Chinese actress. She's a American of Chinese descent.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what the problem with just thinking that, it's the same thing. It's a little racist, right? Like when they cast a brown person, right? It's just any Latino. Any Latino can fill in for pretty much any other Latino, and I think that's kind of shitty, right?
I mean, of course, but do you really like? At the end of the day, a lot of this is the current atmosphere that we have, and it's trendy, and it sells tickets to a degree, right? So, do you really think they care to make that decision?
Well, I think it's what they end up doing is they end up pissing off people. The people they're trying to appease, because like people like me don't give a shit, but the people they're trying to appease are then going to be like, oh, wait a minute, you cast a Mexican to play a Puerto Rican.
Right.
That's bad. So instead of just like, hey, just do normal casting and let the chips fall as they may, all of this is just fucking ridiculous.
But hear me out here. Did you know that you are a liar and a coward?
Yeah, and a three-time clown, apparently.
Yeah, 3 times. That's amazing. I only got 2. I'm kind of jealous.
I've been called worse by more important people. I've been called worse. Hey, when a guy has like, what is it, 14 followers on Twitter, I'm really not concerned with him calling me a clown, right?
Wait, you know this person?
I told you he was on Twitter.
Oh, I thought you were being like saying somebody, oh my God, you've got a fan, you've got a hate watcher.
He literally just tweeted me 3 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
At Rip a Goalpost at the Geek Getaway and Nerdette talking real foul on her stream saying Eric contribution to charity is a fraud scam. No, see, I never said fraud. See, I said scam. Scam in the colloquial sense of the word. I didn't say it was a legal scam, right? I said it was a scam because it's not actually helping children. You think it's helping children, but it's not. That's the scam part. I'm not saying it's illegal. I never said that. I never said those words.
Yep.
So Mr. Aaron Johnson at Taserboy10 with your mighty 63 followers. Oh, man, I hope Eric sees it. I hope you get your good boy pats and, you get your thumbs up and your
get that affirmation, buddy. You got this. I mean,
the last tweet you did, you got one whole thumbs up on your Isom thing, right? So see, I actually paid, unlike most of the broke, uncivilized savages, Vicky, Josh, and the rest, pissy, spineless leftists at Eric July. I thoroughly enjoyed this and can't wait to get Isom too. Hail Rippaverse. # we will win. Bruh, you really have the dumbest detractors on the planet. Laughing face, laughing face, laughing face, smile, smile, smile. And you got one whole like on your tweet. Oh my God, you all of that for one whole 40
That's
views.
So
one
good.
Like.
I'm
and
so
your like
proud
was from
of you.
some guy named Bruce. So Bruce liked your tweet. Bruce has a Rippaverse shirt in his PDF. So or PFP or avatar, however you want to phrase it for the kids.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm glad you got your thumbs up there, buddy. I'm glad you got it.
That's so funny. That is so funny. Leo, thank you so much. It's refreshing to hear these topics explored without entrenched oh my God, I can't read. Predilection. Oh my God, I'm sorry, Leo. I'm dumb. Thanks. P.S. Please consider the difference between TV that is written for a certain way of thinking and TV that is written to make people think a certain way. For sure. I totally agree, but I don't agree with the idea that, oh my God, they're writing this stuff for to turn your kids gay. That is an absolute ridiculous notion. But I do agree.
Did you know Did you know that we're still the weirdos and not the army? So it's the Rippaverse army now, apparently.
Oh, he's got an. That's amazing.
So it's a whole army.
Oh my god, I'm
are they
really,
going to
really
secede?
proud.
Are they going to make Texas its own?
I truly think that Rippaverse thing is definitely run by somebody on Rippa's team.
I think it's Rippa.
Yeah, I wondered, and maybe he doesn't have time, but it's definitely like his manager or something, because it is.
He doesn't have time. It's not like he's writing comic books.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh, also, I'm still a coward. He's still here for me. Thank you for continuing. He's continually tweeting at me. I'm literally on a panel in which you're in the audience for, and instead of talking in the comments, you want to tweet at me.
Wow, you are weird, buddy. I'm maybe he's not all there.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All right, we are going to wrap up. What do you have going on your channel this week, Tony?
Tomorrow we're going to be talking more Amico stuff, and we're going to debate about React content, whether or not it should fly under the DMCA.
Oh, that's a good subject right now. It's totally fair use, by the way.
It's totally not.
It's totally okay. Now I gotta watch.
It is, again, it's a case by case, right? But when we talk about like sitting there going, "Wow, this is wow, look at
he put a shit."
Yeah, or like Sniper Wolf. Oh my God, that person made a sandwich.
She's the worst.
They're making a sandwich. The sandwich, that's not fair use. I want you to understand this, people in the chat, and Nerdettes, and everybody listening on the replay. Transformative in the legal sense is different from transformative in the literal sense. Literally taking a comic book, showing the panels, and then putting a filter on it is technically, yes, transformative. But legally, no, it's not, and you will get your ass DMCA'd for that. That's not transformative. When they talk transformative, they're talking about changing the message that these images are projecting. So by you putting a filter on the comic, you can still read the comic and you're still getting the message the comic is sending you, right? That's not changing what it is.
Yeah, I got DMCA'd once for that.
Yeah. So, but we'll discuss it more tomorrow on my channel, where we have all the fun.
You guys,
and of course,
are subscribed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, of course, be sure to look forward to my Isom #2 review, because I do have the book coming.
Yeah, we'll definitely be discussing it. I want to know your thoughts, so you'll have to come back on after you get it.
All right. I'll definitely be back.
Hell yeah. That is freaking awesome. I don't know. I always forget what I'm going to say at the end because I never know what's going on from day to day. So we will be doing something this weekend. I promise, guys. I just don't know what. Yeah, this is my level of organization skills. I'll tell you what. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tony. And we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.